Well, hey everybody, it's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on this lovely Wednesday. Oh my gosh, thank y'all a million. Oh my gosh, I want to thank all my channel members, and I do have a brand new video that I just put up. I think that was yesterday. So if you guys are a channel member, be sure to go check out those channel member videos. And yeah, shout out to all my Patreon members, everybody that's over here throwing your support my way. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. I hope y'all are having a wonderful week. Thank you to everybody. I think it's all my mods for being here today too. I see y'all in that chat. This is going to be a fantastic show today. I'd say all of our shows are pretty fantastic. All of them. They're all my favorite. Okay, y'all. I think I say that every show. I'm like, this is my favorite. So, but it's the truth. These are all of my favorite topics, favorite shows. This is a heavy one today. Okay, so we're going to be talking about something that's a little heavy, and it is we're going to be talking about Loosh harvesting creatures, entities, and humans. Okay, because there are people out there who are pretty much thriving and manifesting off of other people's emotions, okay, and suffering and fear. And like I said, it's going to be a heavy topic, but we're going to call in a lot of, I've already done it, okay, and we need to continue to do it. Everybody, you call in some protection today. Let's protect ourselves in that white light, okay, and keep out the negativity today. And we're going to talk at the end, at least, and probably throughout the show, about how to combat these Loosh harvesters, okay, and what to do. We're not just going to leave everybody hanging and talking about it without giving some solutions to it, okay, on how to fight it and how to protect your energy. Okay, and that's something I love to do. I love to do it. I know Barry does too. I have Barry Littleton here in the studio today. Barry has already done extensive research on this, has an entire playlist on his channel, Barry Littleton, on YouTube and with his Patreon. So please go check that out. Barry's going to be intermittently posting his links to some of these videos that we're going to be talking about today, some of the things that he's covered already. And for whatever reason, y'all, I mean, I never really even know what I'm going to do my shows on until the day before. Okay, just about, because I'm doing so many shows now. This came up yesterday, and Barry and I have both agreed that it's very important that we get this information out there today. It's very timely at the moment. So we get called to do things and we don't know why. And so here we are today. We have no time for Looshers because we are the champions of the world. Okay. Hope y'all enjoy my jokes today. Okay. But that's no joke. That's for real. For real. FR. Okay. So, okay. Well, if you guys would like to follow along with all of my work, please go to my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all of my shows there and everything that I have going on, including all these events that Barry and I will both be at. Okay. We are both going to be at, let's see what we got here. We're going to be, well, I pulled this up first. July 15th through 18th, we're going to be in Florida at the Full Disclosure Now conference. August 1st through 4th, Barry and I will both be at the Appalachia Starseed reunion. And if I could convince Barry to go tent camping with us, I'd have him at the East Tennessee Squatch Out, but I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see. That's going to be in Tennessee, September 6th through the 8th. So you guys, please come out and see me. It's a wonderful way to get to know everybody who's watching the shows and who has similar interests. And I would love to see each and every one of you guys. I do have some flyers. Oops, I was going to try to pull that up. What is that for? Where did that comment just come from? That is hilarious. I was trying to pull something else up on my computer. went crazy. Okay, so here's some of the flyers. That's for the Full Disclosure Now conference. And this is for the 4th annual Squatch Out. Lori Wade will also be there. She and I will both be giving little presentations there at that event, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, let's get to our show today, because Barry and I have a ton of stuff to talk about and a lot of information to get out, a lot of experience. And it's going to relate to some of the remote viewing targets that I have done that Barry has given me as blind targets. Okay, so we're gonna get into that, including the Hat Man. Okay, so including the Hat Man, and some other stuff. Okay, so let me read this intro, and we'll get the show on the road. Have you noticed the constant fear-mongering and stressful events that are bombarding our everyday lives? Have you ever wondered why this happens on a daily basis and on such a huge scale? Some say it's because invisible, higher or lower dimensional dark entities feed off these negative energies and emotions that humans are conditioned into giving off. From malevolent reptilians and extraterrestrial creatures to dark entities and shadow beings and even energy vampires, your life force energy is constantly under attack and must be protected. I have Barry Littleton here. We're going to be discussing negative entities, malevolent creatures, and sinister cryptids that feed off of Loosh, which is the negative energy that humans and other living creatures give off when under stress. We're going to talk about ways to combat it. Y'all know Barry is one of the cutting edge researchers. He's been doing this for a long time. Gosh, y'all, I just listened to his interview on Coast to Coast AM again last night. He was on there with Jimmy Church a couple of years ago. And if you guys haven't heard that, please go back and listen to it. Barry is a wealth of knowledge. If you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel and his Patreon yet, please do. And please help me welcome to the show my friend, Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Hey, Jessica, what's up? Sorry, I got an eyelash in my eye. What's happening? Thank you for having me, and hello to the audience. And okay, you're going to take me down this, we're going to go down this almost dark rabbit hole, but I think it's important that this gets talked about. And recently, the thing is, we'll talk about cluster attacks, and that's been up a lot right now. It's going on with the solar activity. It's been up, and dark forces are relentless, and their strategies, I think, aren't really revealed enough. Beside people saying, put your light shield on and this and that, and saying they shot their bolts of light at the dark forces, but they're not really talking about the strategies that these beings use to attack the heart chakra, to ruin our lives, to cause nervous breakdown, insanity, death. And let me say straight up, because I'm gonna take some heat for it. There's certain terms I just don't vibe with. And one is this new age term of Loosh that isn't even in the dictionary. I mean, that's a newer thing. What I know that as is called DOR, deadly orgone radiation, or negative psychokinetic energy. That's what these things feed on. And a lot of these inorganic beings, as I call them, they're called negative inorganic beings. They actually begin as negative thought forms in our mind and then start building more ability to manifest through our own pineal gland. They use that as a wormhole. So then they start manifesting into our third dimensional world. So people have to be very conscious of what they actually think, especially when you're under constant attack. But we'll talk about all that. So sorry, I get carried away already. We just started. That's not a good sign, man. Oh.
Well, what scares me, and not that it scares me, but what is upsetting is that there are actual humans, like people, that know how to do this. And I mean, it's just very sinister to me, and feed off of what I'm going to say Loosh, for lack of a better term. We can say DOR, but I think a lot of people know what Loosh is because we've heard that word. Okay, but there are humans out there who will cause drama and cause a lot of chaos in people's lives, and they know exactly where to hurt them, and they go for that, and they hit it over and over and over again, trying to tug at people's egos and their insecurities. And like, say for instance, somebody wants fame and fortune, so they offer them money to do bad things to people, for the fame and fortune.
Why did we touch on that for just a second? You know, and this is why I want to say this in all reality, because I've touched on it once before, and it seems to a lot of people want me to say more about it. But I would just say that, you know, I was just recently accused of, oh, you only work with Jessica now. That's not especially true, but I've had some really bad experiences for these people that have platforms that a lot of people are following right now, and they have been bitten by the fame bug. They care about nothing else, and they will step on you, me, anybody. They'll stab you in the back to get there. They'll steal information. They're not who they pretend to be. And, you know, and I'm not going to call out any names, but if you go to my channel and check out this section, the playlist that I quit updating a long time ago, it's called Interviews. A lot of demon on there you see me talking with. That's all I'm going to say. You know, and this is real serious because you got people with knowledge, with questions, like the people in your audience that are getting shammed, spending all this money going to these conferences to meet half the people that are not even what they pretend to be. And when you get in their presence, you know it, okay? You know, everybody talking about the same stuff we've been hearing again and again and again. What are we being told that's going to help our daily life and take us forward? Really exposing this stuff. That's important. Like if you go for a psychic reading, who cares? I'm a psychic medium. Is it about you sitting up there talking to me and find out, am I really what I'm saying I am? Am I getting it right? Or is there anything in the session that is benefiting your daily life? That's the important stuff. I'll shut up there. Anyway, sorry. You just mentioned that because that's part of why we're talking about this, because this whole thing comes with attacks from these trolls and these communities, from these people on these platforms. Some of them, not all of them are crooked, but only about 85%. So, and that's why we're talking about this, because those are ways that I mentioned it before. It's going to be repetitive, but how they break down our shields in terms of attack, these dark forces. For those of us like you and I, a lot of people in your audience that really truly know how to shield themselves. Okay, what they do is they attack you from several different vectors, which is getting into your loved ones. They're starting to attack you, people at work, making crisis at work, crisis in your home, messing with the plumbing, messing with your car, the transmission, the fluids, okay, creating stress on all these different ways. Kids are off running around, having sex or whatever they're doing, you know, all these things that keeps us from focusing and emitting these negative type of stuff, you know, and it stresses your shields down to where it creates just these little cracks, okay, and just enough for them to seep in, just enough to hit that heart chakra, okay, and pull your heart. And that'll give you something, another one of our attack strategies. And this is all on my channel, okay? I posted my YouTube channel. I've got a section on there called Negative Inorganic Beings. There are 32 videos on there that I'm talking about this stuff. So I will address it. I try not to harp on it too much because it brings that stuff in, but some of it has to be exposed. But another thing they do in this attack strategy, when they do that through the loved ones, is it creates a heart wall on good people, loving warriors like us. Okay, so how you get attacked like that, you get damaged. It damages your heart chakra. Then you manage to repair it. Then you learn how to shield it. And you start shielding it so much that the proper love doesn't get out anymore and can't get in from the right people. And when I say that, I'll compare that to something that I think everybody in the audience should have, which is a safe place. And I mean an astral, mental safe place you can go to that you have constructed molecule by molecule through creative visualization, which is how we can focus our intent of will. This is important. All right. Through creative visualization, you actually create a safe place, a place you can go mentally and astrally that is protected. You know, I did that decades ago, but you know, something I found out, Jessica, I had become so obsessed about protecting my safe place that it was so protected that my own angelics couldn't even get in. See what I'm saying? So
you
that's the same
overcompensated.
thing. Yeah, same thing with the heart wall.
Okay, I love that you said that we need an energetic safe space kind of place to go, because that's part of remote viewing. Okay, this is stuff that I don't get into detail with publicly, but especially if you practice the Monroe Gateway process. Okay, and I highly recommend, if anyone's looking to get into remote viewing, go to the Monroe Gateway, the gateway process. Okay, the Monroe Institute is gateway process, and you go through stages. Okay, and it's like the binaural beats, and it's just deep meditation basically. Okay, but part of learning that is like you go to a safe space before you take off on your journey, remote viewing stuff. Okay. And I mean, that's just, I think that kind of covers any kind of spiritual practice that you're doing, if I should be frank. Okay. And I guess remote viewing is a spiritual practice too, obviously. So, but you're 100% right, Barry. And we as our everyday lives, everyday humans here, we are getting attacked and bombarded constantly by fear mongering. Okay, fear mongering, and like I don't watch the news at all anymore. I can't because it's so negative. And I remember watching it, and it's like everything from the very first show down, like the first story to the second to the third, it's all deaths. It's all deaths and destruction. Like there's never any kind of like beautiful stories, except for like occasionally they'll do a feel good, real good story on there, but it's all very negative. And some people, you know, and here's like another thing,
right? The old kill shot, right?
That's a
good one. Good way to jump our timeline to this negative thing they're trying to always push. Sorry, keep going, please.
Yeah. Well, it's very negative, and you know, and we get sucked in. If people have a lot of time, I don't have any time on my hands. I wish I did. But when I have in the past, I like to watch shows all the time. You get kind of glued to certain shows and drama, okay, like drama. And and even like with Ghost Adventures, like I remember watching that show, and I love ghost hunting. I used to, and I started noticing it getting darker and darker and darker and demonic. Okay, outright demonic. And it's like, even some of these YouTube channels, and I love everybody out there. Shout out to all my YouTube podcaster friends, okay, to everybody. But there's some things, some shows, some people, I don't know. It's just like some things are just gotten really dark, you know, and or just too dramatic, I guess, like super dramatic. I say no to the drama, and I've noticed myself realizing that and pulling back, okay, and I think that's the first step, is us acknowledging what's going on and how we're getting sucked into it, and then cutting that cord and getting out of it, okay, for our highest good, because it's not doing anything but keeping us procrastinating. Okay, some of us have work to do here, okay? A lot of people that are watching the show right now, we've got work to do, y'all, okay? We're here to raise the vibe and to wake people up and stuff. So don't get caught in that hamster wheel of like being sucked into drama and stuff, and sucked into the fear, and that's kind of why I wanted to do this show today too, because I noticed it happening a lot more lately.
Yes, definitely. And you know, there's a thing of, we talk about, you know, I hear so much these, you know, I don't get myself in trouble, but these words, ascension, disclosure, I mean, it's and I mean, what ascension? Okay, let's try shifting consciousness maybe to where this place doesn't get blown up. This place is actually suitable for people like you that have offspring. You know what I mean? That's important right now. You know, if I had grandchildren, I'd be scared. Like, what kind of world are they going to grow up in? Good Lord! I'm not a big doomsday guy, but there's certain things that, you know, really need to be acknowledged and averted. And something we were going to talk about is they're called two things: morphogenetic fields and morphogenic fields. By especially Rupert Sheldrake talked about it a lot. But that is overall the collective consciousness of, like, let's say humanity, and what's really being vibrated. Like, you know, you've got the individual, you've got your morphogenic fields of the body that you're showing there, but then you've got, when we start to get coming together on the conscious level, collective conscious level, the morphogenic field being generated on planet Earth. And, you know, and that's one right now. There's sadly enough of us to keep this place still here that are positive, but not quite the majority. You know, not by far. And so that creates a morphogenic field on Earth of one of, what has it been? Pain, despair. There's been so much damage to the planet, and the planet has reached out to us. And what happens to humanity? More fracking, more damage, more problems. And so it starts calling out to the parent star, and the mother's parent star starts acting erratic, which we're seeing right now, all this high solar activity, which may be an attempt to sterilize the cancer on the skin of its daughter, which would be humanity. we've got to be very careful of that, and how much what we're projecting out of here and what we're bringing in here as far as asteroids, all these other things. It's a big deal. You know, we're not acknowledging how much consciousness really is involved in everything in creation, the universe, everything. These contact experiences, this is consciousness stuff. You know, I myself, when I started off, I was having physical experiences, so I wanted to not acknowledge the ones I was having when I was younger that were kind of astral, dreamlike, the ones where I couldn't go up and touch stuff, but I'm still kind of there. That's not the same to me. So I would disqualify that type of my experiences, and the people that were talking about that, the astral experience, like, yeah, that's too much, you know, yeah. But the truth is, I was still trying to be a partial materialist because I'd had physical encounters. I wasn't acknowledging the conscious aspect to this. Anyway, sorry, you were talking about something else.
Oh no, I mean, no, we're going with the flow today on the show, and we're gonna go wherever this leads, whatever one topic leads to the next, because you have done many videos, several. There's like 32 videos just in that one playlist alone on negative inorganic beings that you have. I watched at least 14 of those last night.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. That's nice.
Oh my gosh, no, thank
They're
you.
all pretty short, though.
Yeah, no, they were amazing, and they included topics like creatures that live in the DOR, the deadly orgone radiation, or the Loosh is like what I like to call it. Okay. And I got to give you credit, because there are people in the chat that said they never heard of Loosh before until today. I think Richard said that. So, but also you were talking to, okay, one of the videos that I watched was the Earthbound Spirits. Okay. And the attack strategies. Okay. The attack strategies, which you were kind of covering a little bit just then, but even the Hat Man and the Shadow Man and the shadow beings. And you and I covered that a while back when you gave me that blind remote viewing target of Hat Man. And I mean, to me, like, shadow beings are very negative. And I know, like, and I wanted to kind of cover it all today, because we've got, okay, so a lot of people will talk about how the reptilians are harvesting Loosh, and that, and, you know, and I did mention Robert, the Monroe Institute. Okay, Robert Monroe actually stated that Earth is a Loosh farm. Okay, a Loosh farm. He said that many years ago, and that we are just here to, basically what he's saying is that we're here to produce all this energy for these beings to feed off, basically. It's like we're given these like artificial experiences, basically, to live in fear. Okay, almost like Monsters Inc., that cartoon movie. You know what I mean? Where they're scaring kids. Why are you laughing? It's true.
I'm sorry. It's sometimes the way you express things, I get a kick out of it.
I'm very passionate about this.
Some humor in here, because this is such a dark topic, you know?
It is.
You know, two things that you had mentioned on that. One is I've been accused of, so you only talk about the stuff you've experienced. Well, I normally start there because it's a foundation for me, okay? Yeah. And the research only come behind that. The experiences came first and the research came second, okay? But, you know, I am, okay, two things. One is that as far as attack strategy, these beings, the negatives, and a lot of times earthbound spirits too, they all attach to normally an organ that is storing a particular trapped emotion, trauma. And you can look that up. I should have gave you the picture. I apologize. I didn't have time. There's a chart. If you look up trapped emotions and body organs, it'll bring up a chart that'll show you the organs that store what actual trauma. So that goes all the way back to traumas we have during this lifetime. Sadly, past life traumas, especially the way we die in another lifetime, we hold that in our organs. Ancestral trauma that comes through our ancestors. So these are things that makes it much easier for us to have cracks in our shields for these negative inorganics, and also earthbound spirits to join with us. Is at those points. Okay. Next up is something that I experienced. I probably talked about this before, but we'll kind of go through it because I can't just admit it. All right. Because this is one of my experiences. When I was a late teenager, I started really getting into not just Reich, but Trevor Constable. Even had a couple of letters with the guy. He was an interesting dude. And he had taken another approach with weather engineering, and also making different devices, such as the Cloud Busters, the one everybody's aware of. But he made other ones too, like the Spider 5 and the Orgone gun and other things. But I like the Cloud Busters, and they're rather simplistic to make, really. Okay. And I started busting clouds with them. But I was also one of those individuals that learned long before that how to do it with my eyes. People got to be aware that you emit a certain amount of radiation from your eyes that you can dissipate clouds. You can even pull some of that Orgone life energy towards you, but you can't do much of it. But anyway, that's just cloud dissipation. But these Orgone boxes make it even more efficient. And like I said, they're very simplistic. And it's not like I was some great kid of engineering making this up. They're simplistic. But you know, I didn't quite do enough research to realize that you're supposed to actually have the ground water. It's supposed to be a running source, okay, with purification to it. I wasn't doing that. So with this, when I started combusting Nimbus clouds, trying to take them out with this thing, and it worked, but you know, Nimbus are actually connected held together by this DOR energy, this deadly Orgone radiation. That's what gives them partial that look. And so that the machine started accumulating that DOR. And you know, I started not feeling very good after a certain point.
Oh, really?
And so I took another one of Constable's little tricks, which was, this was still back in the days of, this is the late 80s, you know, this is the back in the days you still had Kodaks and Polaroids. Took a Polaroid put infrared film in it, and then put a UV filter over it, and started taking pictures around this machine. It's a shame that the box got stolen, but it had these pictures, and I started seeing these pictures, these things around the machine that look kind of phased out. And they look like amoeba to me. And Trevor Constable started calling those critters. And I've heard people ask me, do you think there were archons? They're feeding on this DOR. Do you think there were archons? I don't know. All right. But I will say this, that they look more to me like microorganisms here on Earth, like amoeba, like flagellum. Flagellum look a lot like rods. Still those rods, and look at them, and then look at a flagellum, really under microscopic, they look a lot like these rods. And we've got so many of these organisms in our atmosphere that are just phased out, all the way to the space organisms like the ones around the NASA tether incident. You've got that too. All right. But anyway, so just that's these critters. They're also called energy zoa. Some people have called them that. All right. And they're these things that are in our atmosphere, but they're on a different frequency. So but we know one thing, they feed on the DOR. And if you don't know how to protect yourself, it's one thing. So dealing with stuff like that, and then the shadows that I've experienced, which I've described before, I won't go in that. I saw the spherical ones, the oval ones, and the oval ones attack one of my coworkers, and I saw it actually feeding and changing color, like going a gray color on it, when it's attached to her, and her getting just bowling and just bowling what you call a turkey. God, I can't remember what's like 4 strikes in a row. Is it? Yeah. So I mean, that's what you're throwing the hell out of that ball, yo. Anyway, so you know, but that's another level. So people that are challenging these dark forces and trying to fight them, that's one thing. These biological ones, the shadows, that's not the ones like I was talking about with our friend Dennis Carroll on your show last time. And I did a killer show with him last week on his show. We talked about that. Some of these demonics that are millions or billions of years old. And when they really you come up against them, and they're going for your awareness. They're going for your light, not just Loosh. They're going for your light and awareness, period. That's a serious deal. And you do your little tricks, the little shielding, and it doesn't work. They laugh at you and they come in harder. What do? See, so don't go seeking that, because you're in for the battle of your life. Listen how Dennis said just what Malachi Martin said. Some of those exorcisms last weeks and months with a team of people doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to just walk into that, yo. I don't want nothing to do with that. Sorry. Anyway, enough of that.
Okay, so unfortunately, okay, some people, and I know a lot of people, okay, I'm included in this. We have been kind of under attack since oops, and just like I say that in my computer, my connection goes. Okay, so some of us have been under attack quite a bit. And so it's almost like, it's like working out and like training for a fight. You know what I mean? It's like I've been training for this my entire life. Okay, like getting hit below the belt, basically, and stuff. I think the thing is, like, a lot of us who do get attacked, we're old pros at this. Okay, at this point, and like you said, it's not like a question of like, can we take the punches anymore? It's like, can we keep our heart wide open still, and still give that love out? And I think there's some tricks to that. Okay, there's some tricks to doing that and not becoming one of, because here's the thing, we can do all the work we want on ourselves. Okay, and we will like high vibing people. Like I think Andrew in the chat said, it's less likely to attach to people of a higher vibration. Okay, but the people around you, your friends, your family, your relative that's an alcoholic. Okay, the people that are in a low place and they just can't seem to get out. The negativity, the stuff will attach to them. The dark entities, it's people that may not like you a little bit. Like they may like you, but secretly they got something against you. So like the dark entities will go straight to them to put them in overdrive to come at you. Okay, to put them in overdrive and bring other people with them. Okay, and convince other low vibing people to join in. Okay, so that's what you have to fight. That's what you have to really. That's where you can get hit from behind. Okay, and so that's where you got to watch out. I'm just speaking from experience.
Absolutely, and then we've got these negative inorganic beings, the ones that attack us in our sleep, and cause sleep paralysis and other things. And I know, gosh, I'm picking up right now. They're wanting me to talk about that more. Somebody in your audience experiences this a lot. Sorry, I don't know who you are, but you're welcome. Okay, so for the females, it's the incubus that attacks. Hold on, let me make sure I get this right. It's the incubus that attacks the males and the succubus that attacks the females. Succubus.
No, I think it's the other way around. The succubus.
I wrote it down because I always get it wrong.
The incubus. I don't know.
Incubus is female, succubus is male. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, suffice to say, these are negative inorganic beings trying to sexually attack you while you're sleeping. That's just the bottom line. Okay. And that's another one of the places that we're vulnerable is the sex organs. Okay. The sex chakra. Okay. Ooh. So they go for that. Yeah. So I mean, it's it's a shame. Anyway, I didn't want to make sure we definitely mentioned that anyway.
Well, we have to mention that because listen, there's a lot of people out there with, dare I say, sex addictions. If I can spit it out, sex addictions. Okay, and here's the thing: the negative entities do like to latch on to people with addictions of any kind, but they'll really get you if you have a drug addiction. Alcohol addiction, sex addiction. Those are the big ones in my book. You gotta be careful with. Okay, you gotta be careful with and protect yourself. And God bless everybody who's going through addictions. I mean, it's a disease. Okay, and just try to heal. It's so important at this point in our history right now, at this moment, in our ascension. I know you said you were laughing about the ascension, but it is an ascension, okay, a consciousness ascension right now. We need to be as healthy as we can be right now, and try not to have
Y2K. Y2K. Did we go through Y2K too? That we're ascending through the scenario, right? Anyway, through the paradigms, right? Anyway,
yes. Whatever works.
I don't want to go too far. I'll get actually racked over the coal for that. I think also worth talking about is when it comes to the contact scenario, and also how not just earthbounds but demonic attack children, especially ones that are mediums and psychic, and it stops them from using their ability. That happened to me, so that happens, I think, quite a bit, and that needs to be addressed. But also when dealing with abduction, like I've had experiences my whole life. I've been on board craft, but I can never say that they abducted me. It wasn't like that, But when you deal with the abduction scenario, not just the experiencer scenario, you have to deal with these beings that create these mind scans and use the decoy of alien abduction to collect this loosh, this DOR, this emotions from people. That needs to really be brought into account when you're dealing with not just aliens, but inorganic beings from different dimensions or wherever that can actually affect your environment around you and project a false environment, project consciously a virtual reality scenario to you. That's really, really important to learn. And they use the alien thing to do it a lot. Another way that they help rewrite the whole contact narrative.
Yeah, I mean, I get asked that so often. Are demons or aliens demons? Okay. I don't even know how to answer that anymore. I mean, I used to say no, but now I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, they can be, because I mean, you're dealing with so many galaxies out there in reality.
Yeah.
Just stars in this galaxy alone, what they're finding out more with that James Webb telescope is going out of control. You know, what are they up to? Like, what is it? 2 billion stars in this galaxy? 3 billion? I can't remember. It's a bunch. Is it trillion? Yeah. It's unreal. Just in the Milky Way, more than what they thought. So when dealing with just that and the possible life forms, just on the exoplanets, they're finding out, what is it? They're finding 10 exoplanets a day. Look that up. It's like 2 or 3 or 4 a day. Look that up. It's true. The amount of exoplanets these guys are discovering every day through the wobble effect and that other new technique they have that blocks the sun to a different degree that the new telescopes can detect even better. They're finding that stuff. It's getting unreal. So you're dealing with that. So the amount of demonic that can be out there is unreal. Okay. So that is covered. But that's not saying for those beings that might come from here on Earth, from the levels of fluidity here in dimensions on Earth that are negative, that are able to project a false reality to you. That has to be taken into account. And they're going to use the scenario of alien abduction to screen memory a lot of it. The same way that these cryptoterrestrials in this book from the cryptoterrestrial theory that I've talked about many times on here now, the way they use the extraterrestrial thing in space to decoy us from the technology that they're actually holographically changing right here in front of our face. You know what I mean? The technology that we're seeing flying around our skies that is not coming from elsewhere. It's coming from here. Whether it's in the inner Earth or different dimensions within the Earth, take your pick. Like that book, Earth, the Only Planet of Choice says. They call it civilizations with an S, and that meaning the different dimensions of Earth. And when I was a kid, I was taught that's, like I've said before, like an onion, the layers of an onion, the dimensions of this planet alone. So it's not just 3 or 4 or 5, it's a whole bunch more. You know, and so these beings telling me, think about the 16th dimension and up. Well, what the hell does that mean? You know what I mean? When they put this stuff in your mind, you have to, you know, it is what it is. When you get telethought communicated this stuff.
Yeah, it is. Now, we have a question in the chat, and I wanted to address this real quickly because Angel Love is saying, how do you keep family members from doing black magic on you? Okay, we all have free will. Okay, and it's not, you can't always stop people from doing silly things. Okay, silly things, but you can protect your energy. Okay, you can protect it. What do you think about that, Barry?
Sorry, I think I talked out my vocal cords. Anyway, sorry. As far as protection, you know, with family members, it's difficult, you know, and you got to be able to spot them, one, but keeping yourself protected all the time is very, very important. And the thing about that, because you're dealing with hexes and curses, all right? So one thing is to really speak when this is general protection, all right? There's something about being in these bodies. Well, I guess that's why it probably happened. When we speak things verbally, for these things, especially they're inorganic verbally, to get away from you, how they're not welcome, okay? And then you actually project your intent of will, which is creative visualization, pushing them away. And the same way you get rid of somebody that you don't like that comes into a room and you don't like that person, there's 20 other people in there, but somehow you know you don't want them in there, you don't push them out, and they know it. You know what I mean? That same type of intent of will can be done with negatives. Okay, and that's on top of, because I try to do some things that aren't just the typical things we hear about. That's the white shield. That all works. Do that too. The yellow, the golden shield, all that works. I'm not taking that away. Okay, but I'm saying sometimes we got to go a lot deeper than that. That's not always enough. Okay. Another thing is we can use chanting and intonement. That's a way to protect ourselves as well. And I was being pushed by spirit to just talk about this. Okay, this book here, I don't know anybody in your audience that has this book, The Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hertog. Okay, when talking about some of these words that are chanting words, there's some that occur on page 273 and 274 of this book that are called fire letters, fire words, and they're actually written in Hebrew. And back in the day, the individual that I had these experiences with, 3 of them, and adult onset experiences, she was a Hebrew teacher from Tel Aviv. And she tripped out on those fire words when she saw them. Okay, so they're real. And on page 108 and 109 is giving a summoning technique. You can use some crystals in a certain formation and use some of the fire letters to call up your guides and light beings. And that techniques work because I had tried it several times just to trip out on it. Okay. So that's just things, we get these tools like this, but people don't really try the stuff or understand the keys that are in there. So that's, again, I'll say page 273 and 274. On those pages are actually a diagram of the body with these fire letters around them, which are connecting to the organs. So we just talked about that. Okay. And also there's a chart on the other page that shows what higher light beings and masters are supposed to be connected to. So just food for thought. These are things we can use and try to protect ourselves, okay? To learn how to project our intent of will more than just getting that paycheck, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I find it really interesting that it's the same. You're talking about the same techniques that we use when we're doing remote viewing. And this is the type of remote viewing that Ingo Swann taught and what our military uses. Okay, so it works, and it does work. Now, somebody else in the chat had Adrenaline Flux had written. And this reminds me of like Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Is it possible for them to infiltrate your dreams and to observe you and harvest your energy? So that's like negative energies. It's like Freddy Krueger, right? And I think the answer is yes.
First, let me say that is a killer name. I like that name. Second, that's a great question. And let's take that. They talk about going down the rabbit hole. That's a rabbit hole. Excuse me. That's a killer question. First of all, yes, definitely. And that goes back to like my favorite personal movie. Okay, you might know what that is. It's from 1984, Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid. And during that movie, just for a little food for thought. Okay, he's working with a parapsychologist by the name of Novotny that's played by Max van Sydow, which I better known as Ming from Flash Gordon. Anyway, he's playing the doctor that tested Dennis Quaid when he was both younger and older and created this dream equipment that was allowing a powerful psychic medium to tap into the dreamscape. Okay, but I believe Max von Sydow was playing Ingo Swann. If you read Ingo Swann's real story, he started off not being the person being always evaluated. He was one of the people evaluating other psychics. Mm-hmm. He was doing all that. He described that in, I think it's Penitentiary. Oh, God, Penetration, sorry.
Penetration.
Yeah, penetration, yeah. Anyway, he described that. So that's just food for thought. Secondary going on. I've got to nail this quick. Okay. Right now, there's a real problem with dream technology and the actually hacking of the brain, the hacking of the dreams. And that is called targeted dream incubation. You can look that up. I'm actually going to do a video over this, and it'll go right in this negative the negative inorganic being deal, because that's where this is at. Okay. Anyway, so this targeted dream incubation is them actually using both sounds, chips, and other things. There's an actual company. I'm interested in what part of this is becoming transparent to the community. And there's a company called Dormio, Dormio, and what they specialize in is giving you these wristbands or this glove that actually monitors your dreams, gives you actually certain. They make a movie out of your dream, but also they do induced dreams. And if you think like Neuralink and things like whatever name that's doing that, who's Neuralink? What's the name?
Elon Musk.
Oh God, yes, I should know that. That's more of a household name than Ric Flair. I should know that one. Anyway, so that's just the stuff that is transparent. The stuff they've been doing for real goes back 50, 60 years. The stuff we're just seeing now. So when dealing with that and the amount of people that are getting their dreams are getting infiltrated, what this technology does is it turns these false dreams into memories and these memories into reality. That's real serious. That happens, just after alpha state, before alpha state, hypogeny. That state when you're kind of drifting in and out, you're very susceptible. So this is things that people just be aware of, and that's why I think that was a killer question he asked. Maybe kind of a weird answer I'm giving, but it's a valid one that people need to look into, because I mean that's real technology. It's not just Barry talking conspiracy stuff you can look up.
That's right. And I think this is Susan Long right here, the Phoenix. Hey, lady. McDonald's is looking into tech to send advertising into our dreams. I have covered that before. I've talked about it because I was joking around about waking up wanting an Egg McMuffin. Okay, so you got to wonder.
I have a question. First, give a shout out to her and a shout out to Uhura too. Both of them are there, and cool conference people there. I have a question for her and for everybody in there. So is that what the backwards McDonald's sign is or whatever? I had this couples at my cousin's. I took a picture of it. It was just backwards McDonald's, a W instead of a. I was like, what is this?
I saw that too. My first thought was it's satanic. But then my son was like, no, Mom, it's Japanime or something. So, I don't know. It could be just subliminal upside down world. I don't know. I noticed that too. I thought it was like, do I really want to drink this? I mean, I need this. I don't know. I don't order sausage from McDonald's anymore. I don't want to go into that, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, we're going to have to start blocking advertising in our dreams. I mean, like I said, we're under attack from every angle right now.
Something else about that makes me wonder how much of these people that are these lucid dreamers that some of us can't do. You've got your dream warrior, these people that incarnate. We've got the warriors, the class that are dreamers, and those that are gatherers / stalkers, meaning the dreamers can just dream, have natural dream attention naturally. They have memories of dreams, where like somebody like me, I've got to be living right and trying to store energy, gathering and stalking energy in the third dimension to make sure I can sustain dream attention. So, but when you get some of these people that go into such lucid dreaming that it's even beyond just natural dream abilities, I wonder how much of that is AI influenced, how much of that is dream hacking. I'm really starting to wonder,
Okay.
And we see a lot of that with these SSP people. A lot of them been hit with these targeted dreams. There's no doubt about it. That's why they're in this hive mind, and they're all having these same shared experiences. Those of us that are contactees knows that doesn't even go like that most of the time. Very rarely, especially in a way that it's so coherent that it's like when I talk about my experiences, it sounds like that now, but chronologically it wasn't like that. It was, fractured. I had to pull all that stuff together from each individual experience, and it took a lifetime. But these people just know, boom. I'm not saying all of them, but some of them have to be aware that they're being exposed to technology. Look up brain-to-brain interface, that stuff. This technology, they're out there. I've done a video over there too. It's called SSP and Mind Control on my channel. I go over a lot of that different technologies they're using to manipulate people and control dreams and other things. That's serious stuff. And I'm into that because I had experience that involved virtual reality scenario technology. And they're telling me, these beings are telling me to be aware that this has been used to deceive people from other civilizations. I take lower beings. So that, and then I start talk to Arkeem about this on his show with Brian Singh. I say, then I start tripping out. You read Dr. Carla Turner and you're missing time. It makes you question your experiences. She had some really bad ones. I read Fringe, probably 96, or maybe it was Masquerading Angels. That was about 99 or maybe 2000, but she died not long after that. Anyway, sorry, I'm going too deep.
No, we need to talk about this because most of us sleep with our phone right beside our heads on the bedside table. Am I right? Okay, not everybody, but a lot of people do. And who's to say, like, especially with all the metals that are being sprayed upon us miraculously in the potentially, let's just say, in the evening skies, we're just like a big. It's just a whole lot of like microwave cooking going on. Let's just say, and with the towers, if you know what I mean, activating this stuff. I mean, we're just like, there's a lot of potential for things to get wonky. Okay, things get wonky. Our thoughts, our dreams, our actions, voices in our heads. Okay, I'm not saying mine, but you know, everybody's. It can happen to anybody. Okay, and there's a lot, and I know we're here to talk about Loosh today. Okay, but we have to look at the big picture of all of this too. Okay, is to like what's causing all this pain and suffering and keeping us under control, and you know, and making a lot of people walk around like zombies. Pretty much could be all. I'm not going to say all of us, but a lot. You can't get around it when we're breathing in the air. You know what I mean? And we're all on cell phones.
You know, I talked about targeted dream incubation. That goes all the way to these apps people are using. You know what I mean? They're targeted apps. A lot of this. So we're seeing this stuff right now. Absolutely. And it, it doesn't.
Yeah. So, okay. But the dream thing, and it's talking about like even movies. Okay. So I mentioned Freddy Krueger a while ago. Okay. And that was something that you don't even want to think about, like not being able to go to sleep, because when you go to sleep, you're going to get attacked in your dreams. I mean, I don't like watching scary movies anymore. I mean, I go out in the woods and chase Bigfoot and Dogman and whatever I do, but that's in the 3D. That's fun. Okay, that's what I do for fun. But going to sleep and having to worry about getting attacked on a spiritual level, that's not cool. You know, it's like we're I don't want to keep repeating myself, like we're constantly under attack here. But are we? Could we be?
Keep mentioning the Freddy Krueger thing, and I start to, I see things. I get images immediately in my head, and I immediately see. I think it's the Dream Warriors, where he gets the lady that she's an addict, and he's sitting there, and he's like, he goes like that. Instead of the razors, he had all the needles. Let's get high. He's down there. What a rush. Anyway, sorry. But I mean, really, we're dealing with like the dream techniques and the gates of dreaming. You know, you go through these things which are ways to sustain your dream attention. Starts off with looking at your hands, then shifting your gaze and looking around, and really holding your gaze to where you're fully cognitive like you are now. And, you know, the final stage of this final stage is like seeing yourself asleep. But then the final stage of this is realizing that really you're in the middle of an electron impulse and a bunch of phantasmagorical images. And once you can see past that, then it becomes a matter of seeing what other energy generating beings, which are going to be inorganic, are in your field of awareness that you can perceive. That's real dreaming there, because it's past that. All right. So I'm sure that, you know, and I'm not somebody that can just do that. I had to really work at it to even figure out what the heck I was doing. It wasn't just to actually fully cognitively transfer my cognitive abilities into the dream body and to forge the dream body so you can have it to operate the same as this one when you're asleep. It's a whole nother thing going on. It was more than that. It's actually getting past all the phantasmagorical images when you're dreaming. So it's not just controlling them, it's getting getting rid of them and seeing what other beings are projecting false realities to you. And those are just melding in with it, that they call allies. Food for thought again. I'm just throwing it out there. You know, but when dealing with Sasquatch, that's what I've always been talking about, what I think they're doing. You know, and I read a thing. It was our friend from Big Case Files, they posted it like last night. And I can't remember the name of it exactly, but it talked about a mind speak that this person had got from the Sasquatch. And it's telling them, we try to communicate with y'all quite a bit, but your minds are too busy. From the minute y'all get up till you go to sleep, your minds are busy and filled with all this crap. And it's too much for us. We can't get through. So we just avoid you. Now, that is an interesting way of thinking that when dealing with some of these things of dealing with this multidimensional or controlling the dream body, you have to learn how to stop your internal dialogue, straight up, how to stop talking to yourself. It's hard as hell. My mind is going 1,000 miles an hour all the time. Can't shut it off, unless I do something like, for me, it was pranayama breaths and learning how to still the breath that helped me to still my mind a little bit. Okay. And that's when we start becoming multidimensional and aware on different levels. It's really a trip. So those that can do that through meditation, everything, but it takes practice. I don't care who you are. I don't care how bad and gifted you are. It's not easy to stop the mind unless you ain't got one.
I have no comment. I'm gonna leave that one there.
Or such a low on the EEG scale that it doesn't matter,
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, while we're on the topic of dreams and dreamscapes and dream state, let's talk about the Hat Man and shadow beings for a moment. Okay, I think that's important, and it's going to kind of bridge. Okay, whatever we're talking about, it's bridging into this. Okay, because you, for whatever reason, which was brilliant, you gave me a target of the Hat Man as a remote viewing target. Now, for people who are not familiar with the Hat Man, let me pull a picture up and then I'll read you what the Hat Man is. Now, this is something I've been seeing videos of reported Hat Men, what look like Hat Men that people take like on their camera phones in their houses. I do believe Jesus Pan Jr. had actually sent me a picture of a Hat Man in his house a while back. So this is a real thing. It happened. Okay, let me go and I'm going to read to the audience what Hat Man is. Well, never mind. It just disappeared. Do you want to tell the audience what Hat Man is? Because I just lost it.
I always become interested in this because I saw the Hat Man when I was much younger, like in high school. He was at the end of my block walking around. And it was very creepy. And I can say that I wasn't harmed in any way, but it generated, I guess, what you could call negative lucid, but anyway, and then the first person, I want to make sure I give much credit on this, and I think it's somebody maybe you could get on here. I'll try to reach out to her. The first person I heard talking about it was Heidi Hollis, and that was before she was on Coast to Coast AM the first time, and she kind of termed him Hat Man, and also the other one is the Hood Man, the hooded being. And what she has done, all the research she's done, she's rather religious, but she connects them definitely to demonic. And I don't see anything to show anything different, that they're actually more in control of the other types of shadows that we see, the circular ones, the oval ones, and the ones that are different, these different ranks that attack, and these different ranks of shadow beings and dark forces and negative inorganic beings. And that's what they do. They're kind of the ones that gather and kind of that type of a deal, gather the others around them and direct and stuff like that, and just generate the overall fear of DOR and all that stuff in you. So
yeah,
I think it's worth going over the data just a little bit if you brought it out.
Oh yeah, because people wake up and a lot of times at night people wake up and there'll be shadow beings in their room. Okay, and we have to wonder, are they like interdimensional beings? Some people think they're time travelers. I have been asked numerous times if I believe that remote viewers are shadow people. Shadow people are remote viewers. And I pretty much always say no. Okay. Because I don't think so. I think that I've seen myself remote viewing myself before. And I was sparkly lights. Okay. So
You said you saw you remote viewed yourself. You saw yourself. You look like sparkly lights, like kind of like glitter.
Yeah, like fairy lights, like just little sparks of light. Yeah.
Haven't you ever seen angelics that look like glitter? I've seen them, especially over water sometimes.
I don't know.
That's interesting. Yeah, sometimes some of the angelics look like glitter sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay. I always wondered because I wondered, like, when you hear something like Ingo Swann or John Vivinco or all these other people saying when they were viewing the MOOID that the beings turned around and looked at them and were very aware of them. I always wondered, like, what do we look like to the other beings? Do we look like mist? Do we look like, light?
Yeah. Okay.
Really
Well,
people in human bodies just floating around.
I always wondered too, but I don't know who wrote that down somewhere in a book or an article saying that remote viewers are, the shadow beings are remote viewers. I don't buy it. I don't believe that. Personally, that's my personal opinion. Okay. And because I have seen shadow beings before with my own eyes. They just seem very dark, very low vibrational. People who are remote viewing have to have some form of, they're not dark. Okay. They're not dark like that. Okay. But let's get into the data. Okay. Because I did do this target, and okay. Do you remember this one? I actually wrote down Impossible Burger on this one, which was kind of funny. But okay, so I actually, some of the data included like elemental, collective or collected, collecting data is what I got, and I heard data worthy, weather manipulation, self-correcting, something I wrote down, course correct, time tunnel. Like basically, I was kind of picking up on some kind of like interdimensional time traveler kind of thing, kind of data is what I was picking up on. But collecting data. Okay, and hold on, I got a second page. Something about probing and exploring. Probing, darkness, underbelly. I wrote down green giant. I don't know why I wrote that down, but something that was very scientific. I picked up on exploring and probing. Okay, probing, collecting data, and exploring, and course correcting. Okay, that's what the Hat Man was. And I also wrote down itinerary, scientific, chronovisor, and teleport. Chronovisor. Okay, that's interesting, right? The chronovisor is that technology, time technology, basically, that's said to be under the Vatican, right? There's probably multiple ones, but there's one under the Vatican, from what I've been told, where they can go back and look in time and things play out like a television set.
I've mentioned in one of my experiences with these Nordics, and that's I'm on this ship, and it's a wall, like a metal-looking wall, and the tall morning guys goes like that, and all of a sudden, it's not a wall anymore; it's see-through. It looks like even almost like more than transparent glass. It was completely almost see-through, and I could see the water tower in my city and see down below, And that's when I realized that this window, the way this craft appeared on the outside, which I call a time craft, okay, this thing, I think that's the perfect way to actually historically record anything, any place, anywhere, especially on timelines. And when dealing with that, I'm pretty sure that was some type of a technology that if you just tapered it down a little bit, that historians are used from the future that we could call a chronovisor. That's what I believe.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But what trips me out is your deal with this. Everything you just said. Please keep going if you got any more, because we talk about negative inorganic beings, but that sounds like an AI thing, some type of a false, doesn't it? I mean, everything you're saying sounds AI related about the Hat Man, opposed to being just a normal inorganic being or shadow. Okay. I mean, you've even got some slight alien potential there, to be honest with you. If you look at that data, and you had no idea it was a blind target again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was writing down something that's very scientific, but probing, exploring, chronovisor, teleportation, and electrical time tunnel. Like it was something going through, I don't want to say wormholes, but wrote down like a time. And I remember seeing like what my sketch was. It was like a whirly circle. It looked like a tunnel that you would go through. Like if I were to step through like a portal, that's what I wrote. Basically, it looked like a portal. Like it had like a spiral kind of, but a whole bunch of them, like something you walk through. So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting though. But okay, what does the Hat Man and the shadow entities? How do they work off of Loosh or our energy? as humans? Because I know, because when people see them, they get scared, and it's not a good feeling.
I think that is almost enough. Just the perception of them and the shock that goes along with that generates that negative psychokinetic energy, and they start feeding. And then it generates enough for even the ones that are associated with the smaller shadows, like I mentioned, to attack someone. Lowers your shields, does all sorts of stuff. That's just by sighting alone. Because I don't know, I haven't heard even Heidi say much about them actually being seen attacking people. The Shadow Man that I've seen anyway. Doesn't mean it's not. I've just not seen it. But it might not be needed when they generate that much negative energy or Loosh, whatever you want to call it. And the others start, generating negative thoughts. Got to remember how many of these beings start generating energy just by triggering negative thoughts. That goes into the emotions, into the body, into the organs, all that stuff. For us to start generating that type of negative energy. It starts in the thought process.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Totally. Okay, so let's see. Edgar has an interesting comment. If they know you see them, you become it. They will follow you like I follow cryptids around the woods. Timelines vary. Some call them dimensions. Okay.
If you don't know how to protect yourself, you'll get hitchhikers all the time. And I got to tell you, the average person that I have client, I've yet to have one person, I have one that didn't have dead people attached to them. I got news, folks. The average person has between 3 to 9 attached to them.
Are you serious?
So I do I do my sessions. I get rid of all of them. Sometimes I do a flat fee, and I want them doing this stuff. It takes hours sometimes, and then I teach the client, the protection, why they're in trance, and then when they're emerged also. Okay, and then time goes on, they don't practice the protections, and what happens? They pick more earthbounds up. That for me is a bit frustrating, and I admit, but it's hard to protect yourself. We have to do protections like twice a day or more. It sucks, but it's what it is when you live here.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying something. I totally cut you off. I apologize.
Yeah. Oh, no. We were just talking, we were making the comment about, I just pulled up Edgar's comment. So, yeah, Urso says the monk at the Vatican made the chronovisor, which I do remember reading that too. I think the chronovisor was made. It was created by a monk. At least that's what the story is, right?
I had read it was back engineered, recovered from a craft.
Probably so. Well, maybe a monk did that after they back engineered something. He was one of the scientists.
So, I don't mean to sound. I don't care much about the religious stuff, so I don't get too deep into it. So it could be true. I don't want to debate anything. I don't know. It's also devilish that it doesn't matter much to me. Nothing positive about it at all.
Yeah.
Along with the other things I've heard about the monstrosities that they have underneath the Vatican, as far as genetic cryptid experiments. Heard horrible things.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
I'm not an expert on the Vatican, so I don't know. But somebody out there knows.
Yeah,
I've heard about that cryptids, or not cryptids, just abominations underneath the Vatican. They've been there for so long, and a lot of these laboratories we talk about are under there.
Ew.
I just heard that.
I wouldn't doubt it. They're their own government, the Holy See, right? It's like their own nation, basically, over there. So they can pretty much do whatever they want, right?
That's creepy, man.
Yeah. Creepy. It is. Well, Dennis is a demonologist. He says attachments are an occupational hazard. And it's not only demonologists, but cryptid field researchers as well. I mean, I've brought home some orbs before, unfortunately, from one of my deals, and I have definitely had attachments for sure in the past. I mean, if you're saying that we all have them, that sucks. That really sucks.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I myself was shocked to find that out. And I meet these people that tell me, "Oh, I don't have any. I've done my shadow work." Get them under, and they got a bunch of them attached to them. They look at you after that, but that was real. I didn't think I had any. No, you don't know, because they're entwined in your own energy field, and they're expressing themselves as behavior patterns. So you don't recognize it as a possession or anything like that. It's much more subtle than we think. And that's not even going down to the demonic level, and that all that starts getting entwined at a certain point. So it's, it is what it is.
Oh my gosh. Angel Love says, I heard they have Medusa captured down there. Oh my gosh. What if? What if they do have like giants down there in Medusa? What are those? The Nagas? It's like a half human, half serpent.
Nagas are serpents.
Yeah.
Whenever I think of Medusa, what the caricature I have? That 80s movie with Harry Hamlin, Flash of the Titans.
Yeah. That's a great movie.
I thought that was the best representation of Medusa I'd seen.
Oh my gosh, I love that movie. That's a great one.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, that was a great one. Okay, I'm trying to think of what else we need to cover before we go today, because we've covered the Hat Man. What about, let's address for a second, because you had a very popular video that you put out about black reptilians. Okay, but let's just talk about reptilians in general. Okay, because I'd like to address this, because this is when I hear of Loosh, I think of the reptilian overlords. Okay, that's kind of the connection that I make to the word Loosh, is like I hear about, the reptilians harvesting Loosh from all of us. I watched the video this morning. It was like the Anunnaki reptilians, came here to make this a prison planet and to make us into slaves and to harvest our Loosh. Is there any kind of truth behind that, in your opinion? What do you think?
What I had always heard, and I'd heard about the reptilians, and the first person that brought them up was Barbara Martinique, at least intently, and then going on to Credo Mudo and other people, all right? But I had always heard that historically there were a race of Saurians here on Earth that are now underground, but they were Saurians that would be the dominant species here. And they're like the ones that kind of turned into the Hadrosaurus and things like that, what they would have evolved into, okay? These Saurians. And what happened, the Saurians were Earth populated, but then you have these, we got to say the word, the Dracos from Dracodian. They come with these different castes, and they come here and interbreed with the Saurians and change them. All right. And that's where we start getting this domination of the Earth going reptilian wise. That's what I had always been told. All right. Now, when dealing with, the question of the reptilians, you've got those that maybe are not evil, and you've got those I've heard about too, a different type of them that are somewhat devoid of emotions like we are. So they're more open to be taken over by inorganic beings and other type of life forms that are inorganic. Okay, but that's not all of them. That's just one class. And that starts taking us into things like the Lacertophiles and, material like that. I put out a video. One is over the Black Reptilian. That was a trip. And the other one was just called Reptilian Questions. And that's based on just that question that was given by Free that somebody attacked me for our last show we did. Barry said that the reptilians can't love. I didn't say that. Someone else said that. I said, no, I've heard that there's one type of them that can't, bringing that up, but I've heard that's not all of them. You've got these different types of reptilians. They're not just one species, and different, even within the Draconians, the different castes, all right? And at how Credo Mutua talks about how they actually possess people through the chakra, especially the sex chakra. Okay, and there's pictures of that. You look up Credo Mutua, David Icke, that's really what he got some of that stuff about the reptilian was from Credo. And so, and when I hear someone like the great whistleblower that was talking me to death, and one of the things I want to ask him, I said, man, that picture of that dude in the blue suit with the 12-foot tall white Draco, wasn't that you? He got real nervous. Yeah. Well, tell me about it, man. Let's hear it. And I'll tell you, I read micro expressions like I told you before, which exist only for a second on the face. And if that dude was lying or trained to lie like a politician, he was doing a good job, because the micro expression of the face only lasts for a millisecond. Unless you're an expert, you can't really cover them, So, but I mean, that cat was generally tripped out. And when he told me the story, he said they took him, I think it was Silicon Valley, to was supposed to be a building to do a cleanup on, his old unit or whatever. And they took him down this elevator that was nicer than it should have been, went down to the bottom. And when he gets out of this elevator, he smells the intense urination. The most intense urine he's ever smelled in his life. And then he started getting psychically accosted, and this thing came out from the back. And so that in self generated, he kept looking, he said, it was just horrible. Communicating was horrible. And, and that right there tells you the way he looked, that's generating Loosh right there. So one of those situations, whether that gentleman was lying or not is not for me to judge. But I will say it's a good act if it was.
Oh, yeah?
It was a good one. Yeah. One-on-one. I'm a pretty good read of people, all right, most of the time. And it was a good one. Anyway, sorry.
Wow.
That just concerning the reptilian. So back to Ray and the free CCRI survey. The final one, I want to say, the video I'm putting out, the question was about the reptilians. So you've got several thousand that answered it. Maybe we'll have to skip it like me, 1,400 or something. But the amount of positive contact was much bigger than I thought it would be. Neutral was real big. Negative was very small in this pie chart. Now the neutral was pretty smaller than the positive, definitely. And the neutral was big, and I asked why. People have to, fill out something for it. And Ray had told me most of the people said the same thing. They weren't hurt by these beings. Sometimes they even got information, but the physical encounters, actually seeing them, was just too much. A 9-foot tall bipedal crocodile was just too much. But they didn't hurt them or do anything to them. No experiments or nothing. So that makes and just to see that chart sent me kind of in a frenzy, because I'm like, man, that's not what we hear in the media. Ancient aliens, everything, all reptilians, supposed to be most of them here. Outside the little small saurians, they should all be crooked. They should all be negative encounters. But that's not what the pie chart showed. So we have to acknowledge this stuff. Food for thought again, before I get beat over the head with carrots and onions, throwing onions at the beat up.
Well, okay. Well, all right. So I know I'm about to get into a little pop culture here, just for a millisecond. Okay. Because I'm sure a lot of us watching, people watching, like we've heard of the singer Adele coming off stage and turning into a 9-foot reptilian, like shape-shifting and stuff. Okay. Like shapeshifters and stuff. Okay, now whether that's holographic or that's in the 3D, I don't know. Whether it's even real, I don't know. Okay, I'm not sure. That'd be a cool remote viewing target, actually. But anyways, that's besides the point. Okay, so let's just say that people in our entertainment industry, okay, and that includes sports teams, that includes singers, actors, actresses, politicians. Yes, I think they're actors too, some of them. Okay, they're definitely puppeteering some of humanity, a lot of this. So that's all my opinion, you guys, and this is my channel. I can say what I want, okay, and it's for entertainment purposes only.
Don't you remember those videos of like Michael Jackson and his eyes going black in that video, and they were pumping all that stuff for a little bit, remember? Yeah.
Okay, well let's just say that maybe there is a reptilian element to some of this. Okay, even religions and stuff, maybe we are a Loosh farm here. Maybe it is. Let's just say we are. I mean, okay, because think about it. And I do believe it. I quit watching football. I quit watching sports, and I play sports. My sons play sports now. I don't play sports anymore, but I used to. And we're learning that football and basketball is scripted. Okay, it's for entertainment. All right, a lot of these things are scripted, and I started noticing that when y'all don't come at me, but I remember like right after Hurricane Katrina, the Atlanta Falcons played the New Orleans Saints, and I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan. Okay, and I remember Michael Vick, bless his heart, he threw that game. He threw the game, and it was obvious to me. Okay, and y'all don't come at me. This is just my observation. This is my opinion. Okay, but I remember being so upset. I was like, "Why is he throwing this game?" But I understood, like, it's for the greater good, potentially, because New Orleans had just come out of Katrina. Okay, and like all that devastation, and they needed that win because they hate Atlanta. Okay, so I was like, but it opened my eyes at that moment, and I was like, wow, this is scripted. He did that on purpose. He's not that bad of a quarterback. Okay. And then I started noticing it in college games. Okay. And then I started noticing it in basketball. And I started noticing all these sports, and I was like, God, this is all rigged. Like, why am I going to waste my time, my money buying tickets? And no offense, Barry, because I know you like the WWF, but it was just like wrestling.
WWE.
WWE. WCW.
Yeah. You're not supposed to be saying stuff like that on here. What are you doing? Yeah. Is it because I torture you about the boss man? Is that why? Cobb County? Oh man.
No, people know. They hear us. They do. Okay, but okay. So, but I'm trying to get to the point, kind of a roundabout way of saying, well, large masses. You know, we give them, what is it, bread and circuses, right? Large masses of people go to these stadiums. A lot of these stadiums are built on places of power, like ley lines, and it's like a generator, basically. When you get all these people in there and their emotions are swayed one way or another, their emotions are high. There's a lot of energy. We have the Super Bowl. We have the halftime shows, which are satanic rituals. Okay, I have started noticing. All right, so this is a bunch of Loosh. They're Loosh factories. Now, those are Loosh farms. If there's a Loosh farm, that would be a Loosh farm, in my opinion. Okay, harvesting the emotions and negative and positive energy of humans. Okay, so I think that's a big deal.
Question.
Okay.
Do you think that includes the halftime show during the Super Bowl?
Yes, of course it does. Including the halftime, it's all part of it. I know. I get really like, I know. I get excited there. It's a part of it.
I wouldn't disagree with what you said. I'm teasing you a bit, but I wouldn't disagree with what you said, though. You know what I mean? It is a big issue there. And the amount of money that those individuals are getting paid is just crazy when you got people that aren't eating on this planet. Yeah. It's really bad. You know what I mean? You know, I keep getting this, and they're on me. You mentioned the Black Reptilian. So should we talk about that? Because they keep coming in saying I should speak about it. So I guess I will real quick. If that's all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm reading the comments over here. I'm reading the comments.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Was that an answer?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was talking about. Yeah. It was in accordance to what I was talking about. Yeah.
I'm trying to stay serious now, so my mind is easily swept away.
I threw you off with the WCW stuff. I know.
WWE.
I know.
That's supposed to be talking about that. Listen, you were paid for that with the boss man comments, so I'll let you know that. Anyway, this occurred during one of the regressions I had done. Okay, and this is a repeat client, and we've done several past life regressions of a couple of different modalities. All right, and every lifetime, at least Earthwise, and even on another place, they were always a warrior, some type of a war. You know, like the last one, the Roman War, all this stuff. They've been in all these wars. And one of these lifetimes, that it was, I can only call it the lifetime of respite. They asked that when they're in this place that I've talked about before, the place of reconfiguration, translation and reconfiguration with the guides and all that, and preparing for the next incarnation, their soul chose to have an incarnation that was non-war, one of peace. They needed one for the soul to rest. And they described being what I would almost call, and I think the word is a scene, in some type of a black pyramid that was cloaked, that was placed over a grid point that's somewhere well outside of Egypt, right? Somewhere in that area, but it's outside. And this is a grid point. I'm sure you can probably find it on one of those maps. But said it was placed there. And this thing was cloaked because of the spiritual practices that went on in it. It's a really high vibration. When I start, take the person deeper, go in there, what is it? Describe the layout and all these things, which they do. But then they start talking about when the population comes in there, the people that are training in there, their teachers, but also these various types of extraterrestrials walking around in there. They described, and it's interesting because this person isn't into that stuff. You know what I mean? So you can always pick up what's real from the subconscious and the superconscious. But they describe a few different types. They describe what we would call tall whites, okay? Then also what we would describe like even ones, those ones that maybe create grays, the biological ones. And then the most interesting one is the individual who stays in the back of the pyramid in what they described as, oh gosh, hope Dennis Carroll's listened so I don't sound like an idiot.
Dennis is in here. He's in the chat.
Doctor Who, when Tom Baker, him and I's favorite doctor, regenerated, Peter Davison had to be put into what they called a zero room in the TARDIS. And the TARDIS busted up, so they had to make a zero cabinet. But it's where it's basically zero energy room, okay, where all the frequencies and temporal forces are isolated out. And so this is this part of this pyramid that they're describing. There's a zero part of it. And this whole pyramid is designed to keep actually the higher frequencies of the earth in alignment. Kind of like those gurus are doing that we've heard about. They're actually using their morphogenic field to try to keep the earth secure. Okay, so that's what this pyramid, that's what it's doing over this grid. Anyway, so they start talking, and what caught my attention immediately, they said, then there's the other one that this is all about. Well, who's that? And so immediately caught my attention. Oh, it's the black one that stays in the back. Black one. So immediately, and then they start talking about he's a black reptilian. And immediately they're saying, he's like a messiah wherever he comes from. And they didn't say Draco. They weren't talking about somebody further than that, somewhere further than that. But in the reptilian type of civilizations, they kept saying that he was a messiah and he had to be hidden out. He had to be hidden out. And I start asking why. And they say because of his ability to focus thought, that he can focus thought into such a powerful being that it can destroy planets, civilizations, or beings. And saying it became such a problem. And so this is not a negative being. Okay. And we says that, and he's hidden out here because their civilizations, reptilian civilizations, want to kill him and murder him. But they've not been able to get it. He's been taken here. He's being hidden here. Now, when they say this, I start asking more questions. They say the thing is that just his very presence on Earth, even though he's not supposed to be unknown, his very vibration, and it stops many negative extraterrestrial civilizations from coming here because they're afraid that he'll focus his thoughts on them and destroy them. And that started getting
we don't want that.
And maybe their whole civilization that got so heavy. What that took me to was, sorry, gotta go Star Trek geek again, but it's oh gosh, last time I mentioned this on your show, I forgot the name of the episode. I'm forgetting it now. It's the Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's where the guy's name is, or the lady's name is Rashawn, and the old man is the Bridges. And they go to this planet, and the planet's been decimated by some warship that's gone, but there's just this 1 acre of green land. And when they beam down, there's this old man down there dancing with his wife. And he keeps telling Picard, hey, when are you going to leave? When are you going to leave? And they keep hanging around. And this warship comes and tries to drive the Enterprise off. And Picard kind of getting hip to this, and he show back up, and the brother dude's looking at him like kind of tripped out. What are you doing here? And this whole time they're there, the empath, Deanna Troi, can't think straight. She's got this dance music in her head, and it's driving her nuts. I mean, literally the same music that the old man and his wife are dancing to all the time. Bottom line, they beam him up. Picard surprises him, and he starts telling him, you're the only thing that lives on that planet. And he looks at the wife and says, you're not real. I can smell you. I can see you. And she's looking at him going, what? You're not real. And then she disappears. He tells him. He said, I'm called a Dowd, an immortal being from a different galaxy that lives lives amongst false illusions and surroundings. He talks about coming to Earth and meeting masquerading as a human and traveling and meeting this woman and going to this planet to live out their years, putting his powers aside, yada, yada. This warship comes, she goes to fight with him, and he kept telling them, I won't kill. That's why I didn't destroy the Enterprise. Now, when he says he found her, she went to fight with the colonists, she died, he found a dead body, and he went crazy. And he said he leached out and he destroyed these beings, this Ushnach, these beings, okay? And they said, is that what you're trying to stop us from learning? Is you destroyed that ship? He kind of looked up and he's kind of crying a little bit. He said, you don't understand the scope of what I've done. I didn't just destroy that ship or 100 or 1,000. He looks at me and said, I destroyed them all of them in existence. And that took it just to another level, to the super being level. And what this client described to me, while I took everybody through that horrible analogy and comparison is because what this client was describing to me, this being is capable of that, is just that. I mean, I took him deep. I was like, describe this into being to me. Well, he never takes his hood off. Not around others. When the few that come back there, he never takes his hood off. When he has, we've seen he's got these described yellowish reptilian eyes, skin a little bit lighter than mine, okay, and human features that just had these certain reptilian things on it. Way they described him is not like any of the caricatures I've heard Mutua or Credo or anyone else describe yet. So there's so much that we don't know what's going on and what's been just on this planet historically. It's a trip. Sorry, that was too long to talk about, but somebody wanted to know, and I try to do it.
I think it's pertinent. Okay, that's my word. It's pertinent to what we're talking about. Okay, all of this is. Yeah, Kirian, Quantum Go Time 19. I love that name. All concerts are Loosh harvesting rituals too. The big ones are, I'm a musician. I've refused corrupted contracts my whole life. Music is the true language of the cosmos. And I 100% agree with that. And goodness gracious, Dennis Carroll and I did a show on that with the rituals that are being done, the dark magic rituals that are being done at, I'm just going to name names. Let's do it. Let's say Madonna, Taylor Swift. Okay. Bunch of the rappers.
You're wrong. She's like a virgin. What are you talking about?
Oh man. Have you seen her recently?
Speaking Satan. I mean, Susan, sorry.
Santa. I mean, Satan. I mean, yeah, that's whatever. It's out of control. Like, it's out of control.
As I read that and as you're talking, I start laughing because, they'll throw things in my head as I'm reading, and this was external, and I start seeing these mosh pits. When I read that comment, I started seeing those mosh pits. That must be what they're doing. Yeah. That's a pretty negative energy, isn't it? Those guys are jumping around. Man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and so, okay, so Maureen's got a good one, Travis Scott. Okay, so like at his conference, concert. I do a lot of conferences, okay, so that's in my head. His concert, the one where like a bunch of people passed away. Okay, they got trampled on, and as they were walking into the concert, he had like his mouth open. It was a representation of walking into hell. Okay, and it was too much. It was too much to be a coincidence that those people passed away. It was almost like a ritual sacrifice happened there, and I think that's happening. I'm not saying it's happening at a lot of concerts, but there's a lot of ritualistic stuff that's very dark happening. I mean, there's one concert. I don't know if they had some kind of directed energy weapon. Lana Del Rey, I think is her name. At her concert, there's a video. You can see an entire wave of her audience got knocked over, like in a wave. It looked like from some kind of sound frequency weapon or something. Just weird stuff going down at these concerts. What?
Man, nothing, man. It just reminds me of stuff, man. When I was a kid, I was a fan of the Incredible Hulk series. And one of those episodes, the lady that was on One Day at a Time, the oldest daughter, what's her name? Mackenzie Phillips, I think is her name. She had a big drug problem, her dad and all that stuff. But she's playing like a rock star that dresses up that looked like Kiss, was real popular back then. And for whatever reason, David Banner is holding a little gun out there. It's supposed to be for the sound. And she starts trying to touch the electrical thing. He tries to stop it. He just gets trampled by the crowd so much that he hulked out. It just, you say things like that. I mean, I think entertainment shows us so many things that are realistic in some ways. That's interesting. And when it gets done, the Hulk destroys the whole stage. And she's talking, going, I realized if I'd have killed myself in front of everybody, would have just made it worse and fed that energy. That's true, though.
Yeah. Okay. We don't need to feed the energy. And Poncho Zorch, I'll say it because you asked. To Poncho's coworker, please don't bug him. This is a very important show today. So thank you, Poncho, for being here. I'm glad you're getting paid to watch my show again today. But yeah. Somebody, I think it was John Fortman, Coco and John, made a statement about we consent, the people who go to the concerts consent to being there, consent to, and it's, they may not even know, like a lot of people, okay, as a parent, how do I know I'm not sending my kid? And he's too young, he'd never go anywhere by himself. But as he gets older, when I send my child to a concert one day, okay, how do parents know or not know if their kid is going into like some kind of satanic ritual and is going to be another sacrifice there, you know? Oh God, I mean, I could talk about the movies that I know of where people do rituals and stuff, and the audience is like unaware of it, but they paid a ticket to get in, so that's their consent, right? To being put under the spell that they put in their movies. I mean,
honestly, I think the internet is your best weapon right now to research any band or anyone that your kid's gonna go to. You know, it's not quite as easy to hide things as it used to be, 30 years ago. So not impossible, but not as easy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. We have a good question here from John Fortman. What do you think happens to the soul of someone who has been sacrificed? That's something that I've always wondered too. What do you think, Barry?
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well,
that's real deep.
I've dealt with an earthbound spirit that would California. Oh, Sarah, this is gonna get me emotional, man. I dealt with earthbound spirit, and on my channel, this is called Without Sanctuary. Okay. This earthbound spirit described to me, and I could get, the majority of earthbound spirits cross over much more easier than you would think. Not all of them, but the majority, because they wanted someone to talk to. If you use cognitive behavior like I do, and don't treat them like demon. Because these aren't demons, some of these. They're like grandma and grandpa were tripped out in the house, worried about you. They couldn't let go, okay? They didn't cross over. This gentleman, when I asked him why he didn't cross over, and when I start talking about the creator, I use the creator, God, to cross over. So tell me, don't you talk to me about God. If God existed, he wouldn't have let happen to me. What happened? And when I start asking about his death, this is a black man. He went by the name of Alan. I think it was probably maybe around, what year did he give me? 29, 28, 1928. Anyway, he described to me being attacked by a clan and being barbecued over a skewer parked through him, being turned over it, okay? To where he wasn't in the fire as he described it, but it was enough to burn him and totally dehydrate him. And then they separated his body and organs and passed him around.
That's horrible.
And, when I'm sitting there dealing with the earthbound spirit, I'm protected during these, but man, that's very traumatizing for me, okay? To a point where I talked to my father. My father's 91. He's born in 32. And he would have been one of the first in the NBA now. He was playing on the court against people like Bill Russell, okay? And Bill Russell used to come to our house when he was in town. So that's, a different thing. And I asked my dad, he encountered so much racism that he couldn't play. Like where you live, he couldn't even go there. Your state down there, he couldn't play there. He's a star player, or he couldn't be with the team when they go eat places or hotels or anything. He had to stay on the bus or go to a suitable African-American home. They'd find him in the city. Okay, so I asked him. I said, "Dad, did you see people being barbecued and tortured like that and being?" And he looked at me. He said, "No." He goes, "I think that was just illegal by the time I was born." And he looked at me. He said, "If they would still been doing it, it would have been done to me." And that's somebody still walking this earth. So for me to answer that question about sacrifice, what this did to that soul is he was in total shock. He didn't cross because of that. Number two, the pain and the hatred kept him here and kept him from crossing over. So I think it's a matter of how much they can deal with the trauma of the death, deal with the patterns and letting go a little bit and letting go of the hate and things. And that's not easy. You're having a good life. You're doing something. You're trying to do the right thing. All of a sudden, you just get murdered like that. And that's a horrible way. You're aware and you're cognizant why it's happening. And then your body, your soul disassembles, and then you're still seeing it. You know what I mean? That's serious. So for me, I mean, when I got him to cross over, it wasn't easy, but I got him to cross over, and I'll tell you, it took me a little bit to recover from that one. That's the hardest one I'd done because I was so personally affected by it. You can see it now, suddenly not joking anymore. It's terrible, horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an extreme form of sacrifice right there. And that's a horrible story, Barry. Oh, I hate that.
Sorry, I don't mean to go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead.
The reason why I called it Without Sanctuary is because it reminds me of a book that I had seen at the African American bookstore in the early 90s, and it's called Without Sanctuary. And in it is about 70 some pictures. There are some postcards and things like that amongst these racists that show them handing Black people's body parts around, attacking children, hanging people, more than just a few ones you might see with somebody sticking out a trash can. There's like 70 of them, and they're absolutely horrific. And I always said there should be one of those on the shelf of every history book, every history shelf in every classroom. And people get mad at me. I said, why are you getting mad? It's because you've got, what is that, your grandfather or your great grandfather on there smiling, handing around body parts of a kid?
There's a lot of loosh and stuff involved in this too, because you got to think of all the fear that kind of stuff. I mean, people do to this day extreme things. I mean, even go back and think of like Vlad the Impaler, right? I mean, they would do stuff that would be so outrageous that it would scare people, and everybody would be living in fear to keep them under control. Okay, and that's kind of circling back around to our topic today. Is the loosh, and it is a form of controlling us, keeping us in fear, and having us stressed out all the time and worried. Okay, and there's also types of sacrifice as well, where you hear about their souls being sacrificed and stuff, and people trying to do, people in the audience today have asked about the black magic and putting spells on people. Okay, sacrificing their souls and do it. I mean, even like humiliation rituals and stuff, and these secret cults. Okay, like occult rituals and things like that. I mean, there's a wide array. There's a wide array of types of like sacrificing people and stuff. Okay, so and it all sucks. Okay, it's all terrible.
100% agree. 100% suckage.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
It all sucks. Okay, and nobody should be doing that. Nobody should be doing it, but they do it.
Something else we should touch on real quick, okay?
Okay.
And Dennis is. We talked about this, I think, on your show and on his too. Haunted lands, okay, and lands that are trenched in blood, whether it be battlefields or other things, rituals. But where I live, there was so much Native American decimation. My town is a Native American name, and you're stressed to find a Native American outside of the Indian Center. You know what I mean? They got decimated. So there's so much blood on the land. I was in a house near the river, and this one was so infested with spirits. It was almost standing room only. Okay. And, I had to find out why. I mean, when at first I'm just helping a friend move in, and I'm seeing so many what appear to be little kids running in my peripheral, which I talked about before is black and white. So we can see spirits on our peripheral quite a bit. You think it's not, but it's really not in color. That's why you can perceive spirits. And I'm seeing, you want to have little kids running around you playing tricks. That kind of, you see them in your peripheral and stuff. And that's how it started. Then I had the misfortune of staying a couple of nights there, and I was still recovering from my TBIs. So my clairvoyant abilities are really open. You know what I mean? So I started getting like so many spirits in there interacting with me. I had to leave. Later on, when I come back, okay, downstairs in the basement, I clearly see, and this place got active because it was a large house that they turned into apartments. Okay, and it's really old. And in the basement, there was what appeared to me to be an astral, a type of a shaman, the phantom image of a shaman feeding like energy into some sort of a portal. It's towards the wall down there. Not paying me any attention, but I see this very clearly. And that's odd when you see something like that, when you see dead people in that way and almost phantom images where somebody was doing something in life and then they're still there doing it.
Residual.
Yeah. And what this individual was doing was trapping souls there. This house, I found out that house was like the first in that area on the river down there. And what this doing is some sort of a sacred land. You've got the shaman there that's feeding some sort of a portal that's keeping the settlers and generations of people trapped in that house, their souls. So they're like ghosts, just in there repeating the same things. You know what I mean? That comes a point to where, like Dennis was saying, very, very hard to clear something like that because of the bloodshed that has gone into the land.
Yes. Heck yeah. We talk about that all the time, and that's more Loosh, right? It's more Loosh. It's the battlegrounds. It's where there's constant war, and those are areas that continuously have blood, that require blood. Remember, that was in my remote viewing data for Old Green Eyes, your favorite. up at Chickamauga, up at the Georgia-Tennessee border up there, that battlefield. And Nighthawk, hey, William's in the chat. You know, he's familiar with this. You know, we've talked about this before. He says, you are all under a spell since the invention of TV. The CIA uses spells and mind control. 100%. 100%. I agree with you on that. Everybody.
The radio also. It's worth checking out radio hypnosis. Check out radio hypnosis. That's been being done for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So, and a lot of these wars, okay, let's take war too for an example. These endless wars that never end. And yes, we have like the military industrial complex. It is a huge money maker. People are profiting off of it. Wars are never going to end unless we stop it somehow. You know, like there's a perpetual war going on somewhere in the world all the time. You know, it just seems like it. And that, I mean, I could go down I could go down some more rabbit holes. I'm gonna stop myself, okay? Because it's just a bunch of Loosh, right? It's keeping people in fear, and you know, and we're shown things. Okay, I'm just gonna put it on the table. We're shown things in the media, and it's like buildings have exploded, children are, you know, in the hospital with soot all over them and blood, and then we come to find out later some of those videos. I'm not going to say all of them, but some of them might have been staged, you know,
crisis actors,
to upset us, and that's for more control. It's for more fear. It's to upset us. Okay. And I'm not saying that happens all the time. I'm just saying that I have seen cases where that happened. Okay. You know, so
that's what I thought. That's what I thought the Miami aliens thing we did that over was. I used to find out it was holographic. You know, my niece was in town recently, and she's lived in Miami for a few years now. And she was here when that happened. She went back and then they come back. I asked her, said, "What'd you find out about that?" And she's like, "B, I looked into that, but it's very odd." She said, "I can't find anyone that knows anything about it anywhere in that town." And said most she could find out is just what we all found out on the line, and supposedly people, and that supposedly every single cell phone from anyone in the area were all erased by people in Men in Black and yada, yada, yada. I mean, I don't buy that either. Good luck. I get some stuff like that on my phone. Good luck. I'll be letting you erase it. Oh, let me have it right here. You know, I just got a couple aliens on there going to make me worldwide famous. Everybody wants a fame bug, right? You get a couple aliens for real right there. You know, like I told you, I was trying to get a picture with Valiant Thor. I could have made that go viral if I could have taken him to lunch. I'm just saying, it's true.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Erin Kane, what in the Sam Hill podcast? Hey, Erin, thanks for being here. She says, my husband had some crazy ghost experiences at Chickamauga as a Boy Scout, phantom cannons and such. I had phantom cannons down near where I live at Pickett's Mill. There's a huge battle at Pickett's Mill as well. And my son and I've talked about this on the show before. We were leaving a ghost walk at Halloween a few years ago. And as we're walking to the car, we heard cannons firing. We felt it. Cannons were firing in the battlefield where we had just done a ghost walk on a Halloween ghost tour. And nobody else heard it. Nobody else reacted to it.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that, Erin Kane. And you too. I'd not heard of phantom cannons.
What? I experienced it. I experienced it on a Civil War battlefield, walking off of the property, actually going to the car. that night. We had
anybody ever see anything too, or
no? Well, it was in the. So I had already walked to the parking lot where the vehicle was, and we were the last group to go that night to like go on this little ghost tour thing. It was a Halloween storytelling walkthrough is what it was, and I thought it was for kids, but I think it was kind of. My kid was really young, but he's my kid. He can handle it. Okay, he's the Cryptid Huntress's son. Okay, so but we did it, and it was actually a lot of fun. It was more towards like teenage kids, but we went through, and some of the men were dressed like, and women too were dressed like dead soldiers, like they had been or bloody from the battlefields and stuff. It was awesome, great night. But as we're walking back to the truck, all of a sudden cannons started firing, and it was like boom, and it just rang through the entire. I mean, it was so loud, and I stopped, and of course, it's another one of those things where me and my son heard it, and nobody else probably did. But the ground was shaking, and everybody else just walked back to their car, and there were no cannons being fired that night.
Well, the ground was shaking, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Man, you
could feel it.
That doesn't make me, but talk about rabbit hole, because that sends me on another thought. Okay, okay. There's those what's been talked about for years, especially Littleton Howell on Earth Files. She talks about the mystery booms and the trumpet sounds. But I've actually had a couple of audience people that have sent me years ago some weird hums they were hearing in there. Like Philadelphia was one of them. Ladies up there recording it, she said this weird hum, but these booms, and it makes me wonder if you're dealing with per se a large cataclysm that happened on this planet, a hydrogen bomb or something, the other civilizations in the past that exist here. Is some of that we're hearing echoes from the past, like the phantom cannons, just on a bigger level? Is that what some of these mystery booms are? I'm just asking. I mean, because it kind of makes it even a broader field than I thought. I never even heard of the phantom cannons. That's pretty creepy.
Well, I mean, it wasn't scary or anything. It was just perplexing because me, I don't get scared very often about much of anything, especially not ghosts. But that was just weird because no one, and I remember stopping and being like, do y'all hear that? I feel like I've done that my whole life. I'm just like, something that happens, and I'm like, did y'all just see that? And like, nobody else sees it. Nobody heard it. Nobody saw it. Everybody just kept walking to their cars, and here I am stopped like, oh my God, is this normal? Like, is this normal? Are they shooting off cannons? I vaguely remember asking somebody, do they normally shoot off cannons at night? Oh, I know. Oh, what are you talking about, you weirdo? Yeah. But there are people who live near there, like Kennesaw Mountain Battlefield and Pickett's Mill Battlefield, and probably Chickamauga. People who live around there have reported hearing cannon fires.
They must hear it all the time, probably. Huh? Mm-hmm. God, I guess we could say that's a bunch of things, but definitely echoes from the past. Earth holds trauma too, just like we do, and it becomes echoes. To a degree, echoes of manifestation, I think would be a better word, a phrase.
Jessica's the bomb. Thank you, Elle. That's sweet. Yes. Lots of booms.
Boom. Sonic booms. Sonic booms. And you've got the trumpet sounds. Everybody wants to correlate the trumpet sounds to Revelations. And I think our interpretation of Revelations, I'm not, of course, definitely not a biblical scholar, and I'm not a religious man of any type in any way. But Revelations is an interesting book in the Bible. And I mean, as far as I think that it's this description of technology opposed to what we commonly think, the beast from underneath in the water and all, I think that's some type of technology.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of technology we don't know about.
Wow.
Around here, around these parts.
Hey, something else I want to bring up real quick that I had written down there that I didn't talk about is when it comes to negative organic being attack strategies. Another one that they do, not just the strategy of collapsing your shields and everything, but once they start getting in with these cluster attacks, they use what I like to call the domino effect or the snowball effect. And just one negative thing triggers another and another and another to keep collapsing your shields and hopefully give you a nervous breakdown and your death. But
to make you unalive yourself.
Yo, yes, unalive. Yes,
That's
I
a
must
big
remember
one.
to be unalived. Yes, that's
To unalive yourself. I mean, that's what I've experienced. Like, I'm not that I've had a lot of people trying to get me to do that. I'm not saying I mean, but I know that that is one of the methods, is to make people so isolated, feel so crazy, like they're losing their minds. And I'm not saying narcissists will do this to people, but they might, some like extreme ones. But it's not to, because if they can't get to you, they'll make you get to yourself, if you know what I mean. Okay,
well,
that's another tactic.
well, the typical narcissist. You know what they do? They
Oh,
befriend
that's
you and they pump you
exactly
up.
what
They
they
pump
do.
you up. They make it seem like you're a good person. I like being your friend. I'm down with you, this and that. And then they betray you and stab you in the back for an unknown reason that leaves you just kind of going, what the heck just happened?
I
You know
know
what I
that
mean? And,
really
and, then,
well.
and then, then they blame you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they do. Master narcissists, and they're all over in these fields. I just
Oh yeah.
just now, I just watching somebody, I almost threw up because somebody threw it to me. This individual talking about, oh, go to source, go to source, go to source. Like he's from source and doing that. When this individual is such a backstabber, so into negative Loosh, didn't even know how to apologize after mortally trying to betray someone. I mean, that is crap, man. To hear them talking about like they're this godly person, it's the
Oh yeah.
biggest sheep in wolf in sheep's clothing I've ever seen. And people are listening to this cat. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
we can see them now, though, right? I've experienced
Oh
enough of them
man.
now. I
Well,
can
like I
see
said,
them a
go,
mile
go,
away.
go, 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 go to the interviews on my channel. I did so much work with this individual, it's sickening. And it stirred me because I'm a pretty good spot of people, and I didn't spot this. Not for a minute anyway, not until I saw the abuse of the female they were dating. But I mean, it's like, man, wow. So you got to be careful. These people come in and they come in as narcissists. It was easy because my shields were down. My mom had just passed. I was still recovering from TBI emotionally. Okay. And all sorts of stuff would come with that. And I inadvertently, but it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have got exposed and I wouldn't be talking to you now. So it all works as it's supposed to work. You know what I mean? But be aware of these people, are bad, some of them. Not all of them. You'll know. These people in your audience has discernment. So they know.
Oh yeah.
Man,
Well,
boy.
we're learning discernment. It's taken me a long time. Okay. To because you know what? Because I have most of us here. I'm going to just say a lot of people here watching the show right now. We have good hearts. Okay, like good heart, pure intentions. I don't go around screwing people over and talking about people behind their backs and backstabbing people. And the only two people that I know of that ever accused me of that were doing it to me and then blaming me. Okay,
I
so
just saw it get done to you in a public forum just a couple of days
yeah,
ago. A
yeah,
nutcase going after you for no reason,
yeah.
then you're not giving them
Three
enough
people.
attention. Like that's your job
Yeah,
to give enough attention. Because you don't give
yeah.
me enough attention, you suck. Pretty much, right? I mean, that's very immature. And the way they came at you in a public forum for really no reason at all, they get an inadvertent attack on me. Watch out. I will defend myself. I'll dog you, real quick. I mean, I don't know how nice I appear on these. I'm not a mean person, but I don't like BS and I don't take crap from people. And I don't like people that try to take advantage of the weak. That's BS. And I'm not going to stand for it ever. I will stand against those people forever and expose them because that's crap. And right now, what we're talking about is the real war between dark and light. We're talking about the people you're talking about, the backstabbing. That's the real war between dark and light. Like people talking about, oh, the individual at that last conference I was at avoided me like the plague. Now I know why. I found another way down. They said, oh, some old people told me, oh, I didn't like such and such presentation. Well, why? Well, they were telling people not to go in the light and do this and do that, and it just didn't feel right what they were saying. I was like, oh, that's why they're avoiding me this entire conference. Didn't like them anyway, but hey, that's what it is. And giving advice like that, when you got a platform of people that are listening to you, don't go into the light when you're not a medium, you've not had a near-death experience, a real one, okay? You've not dealt with a bulk of clientele data that deals with earthbound spirits on the outside or the inside of the energy field. They're just talking what somebody else said, creating more earthbound spirits. See, that is the deal. You know, there's another person, I worked with them deeply. I did a bunch of work with them. I went and spoke at 2 of their freaking conferences. You know what I mean? Keynote speaker on both of them, I'm pretty sure. I went and spoke at, and one of them, I helped them, and I was sick. I wasn't feeling good, but I went there anyway and did it. I didn't know I was dying, but hey, whatever. In Australia, but you know, I went to help them, and then what? We don't talk anymore. Unbeknownst to me, I did a video called Bad Advice, and I spoke against these fools talking about not going into the light and creating a bunch of more work. I didn't know they were one of them. And suddenly we don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
Totally turned against me based on that. But they're still talking all the right stuff, saying the right stuff. See what I mean? That keeps a subscription of 86,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's a big deal. People need to be aware that people that don't have the encounters that they say. You ain't dealt with no black extraterrestrials. You've dealt with freaking grays, experimented on. Be real about it. Be 100.
Well, okay, so to circle back around to the Loosh, okay, like what we're talking about today,
Sorry.
You know, there are and we talk about like the dark entities, okay, the dark entities, and not every human, okay, some humans, and we talk about this a lot, like, is everybody even real? Are they empty vessels being inhabited by like dark entities? I don't know, because and we also said this to people that get close to you that will come at you sometimes because they have a crack in them somewhere, right? And so, and it's very strategic is how you will get attacked by the people closest to you and stuff. That's why it's important. If you guys are having a bad feeling with someone that's you're close to or someone that you've worked with or whatever, just block them, okay? Cut them out of your social media, okay? Block them on everything. And it's not going to say I'm not saying they won't create another account and come at you from another direction, but do your due diligence to cut that cord and to get them out of your life, because that person who wrote that on my Facebook page, I had blocked him everywhere, okay? And he waited until I was out of town in the woods doing Bigfooting to go onto my page and put something that I wasn't going to be back for 2 days, so I didn't even see it, to take it down, okay? So it was very rude, and it was meant to upset me, okay? And it was meant to make me look bad. But people do that a lot, okay? And I am in the public eye now, so I get it. It's okay. I'm not upset by it, but I saw the attack, the mode of attack, and what he did. Okay, and it was meant to do maximum damage, as if a lot of the people who are looking, and it is a Loosh thing. And by the way, this person did claim to be a reptilian. I'm just saying. Okay, so,
you know, I was going to say this, and this is what I like about you and your audience. All right, the fields of ufology and the fields of New Age are like a moth to flame for people with mental illness, okay, liars, and those are just plain delusional, okay, and that's what happens. Is that's one of those individuals. They come in with the masses, then they become these trolls, just like what was it, 3 Billy Goats of Gruff? That troll went under that bridge. He didn't pop out for a while. He let a bunch of people pass. He went to those low goats come through, and then rah! You know, man. I mean, that's that's what these people do. They come in with the crowd, and they kind of like silent, unless they get lucky enough to get interviewed by somebody like that individual and start getting attention. And then it just starts growing, and that don't get the attention they need. They start attacking. And look, that's the last way. Everything I've seen them do is the last way to get yours attention or anybody. All it does is rile other people up and make yourself look like a fool and discredit your own self. You know, it's not even about people coming to your aid. You don't need that. It's just you do something so ridiculous publicly, some people don't like it, man. You know, it turns some people off.
Well, I'm only addressing this because you brought it up. Okay, so we're gonna address it right here. I mean, this happens. It happens to all of us who are online. Okay, it happens to everyone who has a channel on YouTube. It happens to everyone. Okay, nobody's excluded from this. You're going to have people who want to either shut you up, embarrass you, set you back, or just harvest that Loosh. Okay, and I don't and copy you and all this stuff. You know, and it's meant to take a stab at your ego. It's meant to make you sad and to clam up. Okay, that's what this is, and we're not here to do that, you guys. Okay, and so let this be an example to everybody else. You know, just roll with the punches. You know what I mean? Like that's what I do. Know that what's behind it. Okay, like what the psychology is behind it, and what their motive is, their MO. Okay, and just deal with it. Okay, and don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. That's how we combat this. Okay, you guys. I'm like acting like a general right now. Like this is how we fight it. Okay. It's not fight it. It's don't buy into it.
Good speech, because I'm Generation X. And I'll tell you the second, I don't care, man. I'll tell you the second, I'm not going to take that crap. I'm not getting paid for this stuff. You know what I mean? So there's no way I'm going to take stuff for all this unpaid stuff, take heat for these fools. I didn't sign any contract that said I have to argue with fools. No, I didn't.
I let everybody believe what they want. Okay, everybody believe what it's okay. If somebody says something bad about me, yeah, I did it. Believe it. Okay. I don't know. I don't care. It's none of my business. Okay. And it shouldn't be any of our business what people think, because that's when we start getting in our heads, we start worrying, and then that'll prevent us from doing things that we're here to do. Okay. A lot of us, like I said in the beginning, are here to help other people, and I don't ever talk about this stuff publicly, okay, about people trying to embarrass me and stuff. Like I really don't, because it's not my platform. That's not what I do, you know. And I know I'm here to talk about Bigfoot and dark entities and stuff, okay, but it's kind of overlapping, isn't it, Barry? The dark entities and what we're talking about today.
You know, for the record, the first time we met in person, I felt bad. And I felt like we sat there and talked for a long time. And I told you, I said, 90% of the people in this field are full of BS. And you looked at me, and I know you didn't really believe me. And I said a few things. I was like, man, when I left, I was like, man, I must feel like this really negative guy. But the truth is, I was trying to spare you from some of the crap that happens. You know what I mean? And it's just, but it's inevitable. There's so many vipers in this pit that it's impossible not to get bit once or twice. You know what I mean? But it's a sad deal for those people looking for information and looking for truth. And it comes to a point of where, who are those people that aren't talking a bunch of cookie cutter? You know, some of these people telling, oh, YouTube is erasing my stuff. YouTube's all over me. But look at their numbers. Their numbers, whether they're paid subscribers or paid views, which you know a lot of these people are doing. I could name them right now, but I won't. You know, and they claim that they're getting their shadow ban, all this stuff, like I am for real. And they're not. Their numbers keep going up and all this stuff. Everything they're talking about, they'll erase something on there and say YouTube did it. I've seen it. Okay, as to where me, like shadowing banning means, if you look at my first 2 years, 3-4 years of videos, they were averaging, I wasn't paying attention. They were averaging like 10,000 views or 8,000, a lot. And someone mentioned it to me finally that, hey, you notice that your views went down to like 500 or less. You're shadow banned, man. I didn't know what that meant. That was at his SETI. Some people told me that. And they said, look at your numbers and then go look at the analytics. I started looking at the analytics. The first few years, these certain countries were lit up on the analytics, like Japan, Israel, places I didn't thought they spoke much English, let alone watching my videos, you know? And now if I look at the analytics, there's nothing but just America. That's it. Nothing else. Not England, no other places. Like my videos are not being shown there anymore. And, you know, there's no real reason for it except what they're saying. They say, you say the wrong stuff, man. What? Well, you talk about racial unity, you talk about God, you talk about all this stuff that YouTube then doesn't like, so you got shadow banned. You're in that algorithm. And people started emailing me saying, hey, I've had to resubscribe 3 times to your channel.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't get notified when you put out videos. But, you know, and that's real. But yes. Look, the numbers say it. It's not just me talking and saying it to make more people subscribe. Those people are standing out right now. People that I know, I could name. But there are like 3 people copying everything you do. And I see it. I see it. They don't say anything, but they're copying everything you're doing. And nobody says anything. The people in the audience know who they are. That's why I'm not saying anything. I think it sucks. You're putting a lot of work on this. You're doing a ton of shows. You're doing a ton of remote viewing. Okay. And you're doing this. You're not getting paid for it outside of what you're doing out of your store. You know, and that's not enough to make a living or anything on this stuff, and it takes a ton of energy. Just like for a reason, when I would give readings for years and years, I would not tell anybody I did it, and then I did find out, I wouldn't charge them because I said, oh God, if I charge somebody, God will take me the gift from me. You know, but what did that turn out? Is I'm doing all this work and not getting any type of remuneration for it, and that burns you out. That causes burnout, to where you don't want to do it anymore.
Is that Loosh?
Yeah, how many times you call the plumber and he says, hey, this was on the house? Every time. It don't work like that. Anyway, you know, I'm just glad you bring that up, because there's so much decisiveness in this community that it sucks. And I don't feel a lot of that when I work with you, not just because of you, but the people that follow you. They're good people, and there's a ton of them. You know, I can't even mention all the names, but I think that's important. I think they need to be acknowledged. And you need to be acknowledged and go from there. But,
thank you.
But the negative thing, it sucks. And hopefully the more of this we do, the more these people get exposed and the more real truth and information comes through. You know, that's what it's really about, you know?
Yeah. And that's why we're here today, because we want to just spread our knowledge, the stuff that we've researched, our personal experiences. Man, I've got too many experiences to talk about, and I don't like airing my dirty laundry out on air. I don't even like being negative about anything, and so I don't like talking about this. And that sucks that someone did leave some weird comments on my Facebook page the other day, on the public page. I blocked them there too, finally. Okay, but
it's hard when they keep making fake accounts. They make fake accounts. They can get through and do it again.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, but you know, it's just odd how, like, you know, and that shows me that it's something bigger than just human. Okay. And I'm not, when I say that, I mean, like, in the 3D, there's something else, because it's almost like there was a force that knew that I was out of town. That man had no idea I was out of town, where I wasn't going to see that for like 2 days, to like block him or take it down. And it caused like a snowball effect, and people were defending me and very upset. I had friends of mine that were very upset, and they couldn't do anything to erase his comments or anything, you know. So that happened. Okay. And so, yes, and I'm talking about that because I do feel like it was meant, because it riled people up, and it was that Loosh.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. It was that Loosh. It doesn't even bother me. I don't give a crap. You know, I make a comment and then I delete it.
Trying to rile those people up more.
But it riled everybody up.
And trying to get them riled up more, so they can get more energy off of it. You know, as far as vampires go, there's two movies. An old movie called Life Force with Patrick Stewart, long before he was Captain Picard. He actually just got done with Excalibur, which is probably 79. I think Life Force was maybe 83. Anyway, it's about space vampires that feed strictly on life force, not blood, life force. And they suck it out like it's Trip, okay? There's another one too. If you're a geek like me, Buck Rogers with Gil Gerard. I met Gil Gerard a few years ago at a Comic-Con. He talked me to death. Anyway, him and the little robot, for the robot died in real life. Anyway, there's an episode that's called, I think it's Space Vampire. And there's a creature on there called a Vorvon. He looks kind of like a weird gray with Mr. Spocky ears. But that's what he's doing. He's draining life force from people. And they get him by throwing him into a star, actually. He got overpowered by the star. But anyway, just these things come up in, what are you laughing about it? Am I being stupid?
No, I'm just reading comments. That's all.
Okay, all right. But anyway,
thank you, everybody, by the way.
But it's just a reference, I think, when dealing with a space vampire and these vampires here on Earth, these human vampires that do the same thing with the, whatever you want to call it, Loosh deal or whatever. But same thing. You know what I mean? We see these representations that much more reality based in fiction.
Oh yeah, for sure. We sure do. Man, I just realized we are over 2 hours with this show. So maybe we should kind of get our final thoughts for today, Barry. What do you think?
Yeah, it was Twiggy. He's right. Biggie. That guy. Yeah. He's real little too. Felix Silas, I believe was his real name. Anyway, you know, just what we've talked about overall, and really wrapping this up, giving it all the targets I've given you, going all the way back to the bases on the trans-Neptunian dwarf planets in our solar system. And the fact that when you're another one I got in more than what I got more than what I bargained for. And it's something you started seeing was that energy of field, that field of energy around our solar system that helps us in removing our life memories, our soul life memories, but even more does something to suppress our psychic and mediumship type of our gifts. And then we incarnate here, it keeps going, but then the other things that they're doing to keep that going and to keep our abilities suppressed. You've got all these entities down here feeding on us. You've got this whole thing, these contraptions, this technology, all that stuff. And I think it's because I always wondered, like, what is the next step that they're doing after somebody incarnates? That's when it really hits you, this brain entrainment and all that stuff. So that's where it's at. And that goes into all the way what we're talking about now, to Hat Man and all these things, and even to what we talked about, the portalizing of the sun, the weaponizing of the sun. All this is dark stuff, man. All this stuff is connected. So it's not the separate classifications we want it to be. It's just the way it is. And remember that these cats are relentless. They're very intelligent. They know how we operate, and they are relentless on their attacks. They never quit.
Petty tyrants, right?
Yes. Yeah, we all got those at the gig. You got it. Somebody's going to go clock in with a petty tyrant right now. They can't wait to be a middle supervisor, to be over you and control you and drain your energy.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm just sending so much positive energy to everybody out there today, and I did call in some extra protection for all of us before we started the show today, because I knew this was going to be a dense topic. Okay, pretty dense. Of course, we'd like to put a light spin, not spin on it, but like try not to make it so dark. Okay, when we talk about it, because it's so important. It's necessary that we talk about it because we need to be able to protect ourselves against it. And we also would, I think the reason that I kind of went into my story when you mentioned the comments on my Facebook page is to let everybody know that you're not alone, okay? Because this happens to me, it happens to all of us, especially if you're in the public eye, if you have a channel, and if you have a social media platform of any kind. People are going to try to poke at you to either make you quit or to rile up your emotions and the emotions of your supporters and people who love you. And so just don't let them get to you, y'all. Don't let people get to you. We're all experiencing this stuff. And you know what Frank Jacob told me? Okay, so I had Frank Jacob on my show at Spaced Out Radio. I love him to death. He spoke about the Project Looking Glass, which we talked about today. He lives in Germany, by the way, and in CERN. And we were talking about getting attacked online. And he said, well, Jessica, look at it this way. Are the people that are leaving these terrible comments, are they even real? And that really just kind of changed my entire perspective. They're not even real. Even if they're real people, they're not real. They're not in my real reality. So it doesn't matter.
Well, you've got that. Some of these aren't real people. They're phantom accounts. And you've also got some sort of a demon that is over likes and over watches and views, because it gets all of our energetic fields connected with each other, even though we're not there with each other. Put a negative comment on somebody and then put a dislike or something. Ooh, nowhere better to tick them off than that. You know what I mean? It's all energized. You got the others. Oh, I need more views. I need more likes. That's it.
Well, I mean, well, we won't go there because there are, when it comes to like YouTube and stuff, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Okay, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Because we're not here for that.
No.
Oh man, I love how we still laugh about stuff. Okay, y'all, and if we're not laughing, we're crying. I'm just saying. We ain't laughing, we're crying.
NPCs, you could call them that too. NPC for me, non-player characters are a little bit different for me, but that goes for cyberspace too. That's a perfect way to describe them in cyberspace. Half of them are people. I told you before, one day I told you, I spent seriously an hour blocking Joe Schmoes. I got attacked from 20 Joe Schmoes. I know it was all the same person. You block them, gotta block another one. These comments kept coming through. How many they got? It took me an hour. That's such a waste of time and energy. See, they got me. Yeah. They were draining me the whole time. Under Joe Schmo. And even that reality show freaking sucked, man. Joe Schmo, that was a terrible reality show. It was like the first one.
So, okay, even social media sites are Loosh farms. Okay. I guess, right? Because even if we can block people, we're still spending time having to block them and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of getting around all this, y'all. There's really not. Unless you just go, get rid of all your cell phones and all that kind of stuff in your social media sites. We're going to be, I don't want to say victims. None of us, we're not victims. Okay. But we are intertwined with things, beings, AI, entities that want to take our energy from us. Okay, so yeah, I don't know. This has been a great show. I want to thank Barry. Barry, thank you so much for being here with me today. This has been awesome. I mean, we can talk all day. And yes, we did go longer because my son is officially out of school for the summer.
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I hope this went over well because I feel like I was all over the place, but we tackled the stuff we needed. I was being a little bit more joking than usual because it's such a negative, dark subject. And it's easy to get depressed on there and go so dark into this, it ruins our days. It's not hard. You know what I mean? So sorry about that. I think it's worthwhile.
Oh, Ange has a great comment. Sovereignty and protection always. Live in the moment. Be the best you can be now. Yes, live in the present moment, y'all. Live in the present moment. Try not to live in fear, anxiety. Let's try to keep our stress levels down as well as we can, because gosh, we live in a wild world. The best way we can do that is to just work on ourselves. Okay, focus on yourself, focus on healing and just finding inner peace within and getting grounded. Okay, get grounded, y'all. Get grounded and be so firm that nobody can push you over or knock you down. Okay, even when they try. I mean, my God. I was thinking about the stone coat, right? Like the stone coat giants, like nothing penetrates them. All right. I'm like the stone coat cryptid huntress. That's what I'm striving for.
Cannibals, though?
The stone coat, I hope not. I'm not that. No.
The stone giants were cannibals.
I didn't hear that. I'm not a cannibal. Okay. Don't get it twisted, y'all.
That's why the Indians were trying to get rid of them, but they rolled in the mud and the rocks, and they would.
I take it back. I am no stone coat, Jessica, y'all. Take that back. Rewind and delete. I know. Stone coat cryptid huntress over here without the cannibalism. Okay, I don't know where that just came from, but that's funny. Yeah, but just be firm, you guys. Be firm. Be well. Live in love. Okay, and try to do something that is just, that makes you happy. Okay, do things that make you happy, and take breaks when you need it, and definitely take breaks from social media when you need it. Okay, y'all definitely do that, and just strive for your highest good always, and just protect your energy. Okay, and thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for being here today. I mean, this has been fantastic. We've had a wonderful turnout with the chat today, and everybody has wonderful comments. It means the world to me that you guys are here today. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. So yeah, Barry, where can people find you in your amazing YouTube channel?
Not where a lot of the energy, the beings that we're talking about tonight, not HE double hockey sticks, at least. No, just kidding. Actually, I'm at under YouTube, Barry Littleton. On Patreon, Barry Littleton, and my website is barrylittleton.com, but not much on there except for links to my other stuff. Done a lot of stuff on YouTube, on Patreon. If you come over to YouTube, please subscribe, and please check out the playlist. A lot of videos come up on the playlist and won't show up otherwise.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, yes. I was jamming out to all the music from your videos last night. So I was watching all 14 of your shows, okay, that you sent me. It was awesome. But thank you. You know what? Because you've already researched all this stuff that we're talking about today, and you've done this years ago. You've been researching this. And so I just thank you so much for being here to discuss this and to share your knowledge. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And thank you to the audience for not booing me out of chat. I didn't see it, so thank you.
Yeah, we've had a kick and chat today. So thank you to all my moderators that are here today, and to all my channel members, my Patreon members. everybody's just here, all my friends, and y'all come back tomorrow night. I will be doing a remote viewing show. I have like 5 targets sitting right here beside me that I did this week, and I guess we're going to choose one of these for tomorrow night. So I will be posting that later today. Y'all come see me 8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night. And then I'll be back on Saturday. You guys have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend here in the United States. I have my friend Drewski of Cryptid Warfare coming on Saturday night, and we're going to be talking about cryptid warfare operations, hunting skinwalkers, Wendigo, Dogman, and more. That's the Saturday night.
Memorial Day. I know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's in, and then I will not be at Spaced Out Radio on Sunday. It's my birthday, y'all. It's my birthday. So I will not be at Spaced Out Radio Sunday night, but I'll be here Saturday.
That's right. You're one of those Chuckies, aren't you? A Gemini?
I'm a Gemini. Like you.
Yeah.
We're Gemini.
I have no doubt about that.
Oh man. So y'all come see me. Y'all come see me this weekend too. And we'll do some birthday celebrating in that chat. Okay. So yeah. So you guys have a wonderful day. Barry, thanks again for being here. You guys listen to me on podcast platforms, by the way. I have all of my shows up to date, including my Spaced Out Radio shows are on podcast platforms. So you guys go listen to me in the car, and Barry too. Barry's on a bunch of those shows. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful day. I will see y'all back here tomorrow night. Thanks, Barry. Bye, y'all.